1. The final test is over. You stand now on the other side of the valley you thought would destroy you. The fires that burned so close to your skin were not meant to consume you. They were the forge of heaven, shaping a vessel that could carry the weight of divine secrets. You did not know the moment it happened, but the spiritual gavel has already struck, declaring you approved. You felt it in strange ways, doors closing that once were open, relationships breaking that once seemed solid, silence from heaven that felt like abandonment. But these were not signs of God's absence. They were signs of the exam. Every sleepless night was a question on that paper. Every unanswered prayer was part of the test. And you passed. Do you realize how rare this is? Many start the journey, but when the fire gets too hot, they turn back. Others are seduced by counterfeit blessings and abandon their post. But you, though battered, though unsure, though tempted to quit, you stayed. That is why you now stand at the edge of revelation. Heaven is about to speak to you in ways it has never spoken before. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 8 verse 18 still echo today. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. That glory is not just a shining crown in eternity. It begins now. It is the strength you carry, the wisdom you've earned, the authority in your voice when you speak. The world has no language for what you are becoming. You have walked through storms that were designed to strip you of faith, but the storms failed. You have faced betrayals that could have turned your heart bitter, yet you chose forgiveness. This is why you are still standing, not because life was gentle, but because you refused to let it break you. And now, heaven's whisper becomes a trumpet blast. It's time to tell you everything. And the tests were not random. Every delay was mapped. Every loss was calculated. Every closed door was intentional. The enemy thought he was dismantling you. In truth, he was chiseling away what could not enter your future. You are not just a survivor, you are a refined weapon. You carry the scent of fire without the scorch marks. You carry the authority of one who has been in the war room of God. Some of you thought the last season was punishment. You begged for it to end, not realizing you were being allowed to see the battlefield from a higher vantage point. Heaven was letting you taste the loneliness of command, the weight of leadership, the ache of knowing truths that others around you could not yet grasp. This was not cruelty. It was preparation for the mantle you now wear. There's a shift happening even as you read this. The air in the spirit realm around you is heavier. Angels are not just visiting, they are stationed. You feel the edge in the atmosphere, the sense that you are being watched, not by threat, but by witness. The unseen audience of heaven leans in, because the next chapters of your life are not small side notes. They are headline events in the archives of eternity. Chosen one, you are stepping into a moment that will define generations after you. The words you speak will carry weight in both the natural and spiritual realms. What you allow will stand, what you forbid will fall. This is why the test had to be so severe. Only a proven vessel can be entrusted with such authority. Some reading this will feel their heart race right now. Not out of fear, but recognition. You know this is you. You've known it in the deepest chambers of your spirit. God has been preparing you quietly while the world thought you were just trying to survive. They don't know the conversations you've had in the stillness. They don't know the warfare you fought alone in your room when no one else was there to intercede. They don't know the moments you almost walked away, and the reason you didn't. And now, Here is the first thing you must understand before the secrets unfold. Your life is no longer yours to direct. You have been marked. From this point on, detours will cost you more. Disobedience will carry heavier consequences. And obedience will bring rapid acceleration. You have passed the point of casual faith. You are in the realm where angels and demons measure every step you take. So hear this as a commissioning. Lift your head. Chosen one. Wipe the dust from your garments. Take your place at the table of those who overcame. Let this be the moment you declare out loud, if you must, I will not shrink back. I will not turn away. I receive what heaven is releasing to me now. If this message is striking your spirit like lightning, do not let it pass in silence. There is a reason you found these words. This is not an algorithm. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention, stopping you mid-scroll to tell you the story. Heaven has been writing behind the curtain of your life. Before we go further into what is being revealed, seal this moment with action. Share this, so another chosen one can wake up to their calling. Like this as a prophetic agreement that you receive your commissioning. And type the number 777 in the comments as a sign that you step into completion, covenant, and divine perfection. Chosen one. There is a sound in heaven that does not reach human ears, but stirs the deepest part of your spirit. It is the quiet approval of heaven, a sacred, invisible nod that tells the angels, this one is ready. You have walked through seasons where the applause of men was absent, but heaven's gaze never left you. There is a weight to that gaze, a combination of fierce love and holy expectation. When heaven approves, it does not always come with fireworks or visions. Sometimes it comes with a shift so subtle you only notice it when looking back. You begin to realize that certain attacks no longer reach you, temptations no longer grip you, and wounds no longer hold you hostage. The ground beneath your feet feels steadier, though storms still swirl. That is the sign you have been acknowledged as one who can carry more. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms chapter 103 verse 19, the Lord has established his throne in heaven, and his kingdom rules over all. This means your life is under a government far greater than any earthly power. You live by the decrees of a kingdom whose king is eternal. When heaven approves you, every realm beneath it takes notice. Angels, demons, and the earth itself. In the unseen courtrooms of heaven, your name has been spoken with affirmation. Your perseverance was weighed, your motives tested, your heart examined. There was a moment, perhaps in your darkest night, when your faith became the evidence that silenced every accusation of the enemy. Heaven's approval is not a feeling, it is a verdict. And once that verdict is spoken, it stands forever. There is a holy stillness that follows such a verdict. It is not the silence of emptiness, but the silence before the unveiling of a great plan. This is where you are now. God has approved you for assignments that were delayed until this moment. Some of them have been waiting for years, even generations, for someone worthy to carry them. You are stepping into promises your ancestors prayed for but did not see fulfilled. You may wonder why heaven kept silent for so long. The truth is, silence does not mean absence, it means preparation. During the waiting, God was deepening your roots so that the fruit you bear now will endure. He was training your ears to hear his whisper, so that when he speaks in the coming days, you will not mistake his voice for your own thoughts. Approval from heaven also means you will be misunderstood on earth. Not everyone will see what God sees in you. Some will question your worthiness. Others will resent your advancement. This is the cost of carrying divine favor. It provokes both admiration and opposition. But you will find that neither can move you, as it once did. The applause of men will not inflate you. The criticism of men will not break you. This approval also comes with a deeper sensitivity to the Spirit. You will begin to sense things before they happen, shifts in the spiritual atmosphere, the direction of conversations before words are spoken, the presence of those whose hearts are aligned with God and those whose hearts are against Him. This is not paranoia, it is discernment sharpened by heaven's trust. Do not be surprised if certain doors open for you without effort. These are not coincidences, but signs of divine alignment. Heaven's approval is a magnet for the resources, people, and opportunities connected to your assignment. Likewise, do not grieve the doors that close. Their shutting is part of the same approval, protecting you from what would drain your strength or divert your path. Chosen one, there is an unshakable truth you must carry now. You did not earn heaven's approval by perfection, but by persistence. You stumbled, but you got up. You questioned, but you kept walking. You were wounded, but you did not let the wound define you. That is the heart God approves, the one that refuses to quit, even when it feels unseen. The quiet approval of heaven is the foundation for what comes next. Without it, the revelations ahead would crush you. With it, they will refine you. This is the pivot point where survival turns into influence, where faith turns into authority, where your story becomes a weapon in the hands of God. So, walk with the weight of this reality in your steps. Heaven has nodded. The throne has spoken. The King has found you ready. There is no greater validation than this, and no earthly recognition can compare. The next movements of your life will not be random, they will be orchestrated. Every step, every word, every decision will echo with the sound of that initial nod from heaven, and in this assurance, you can rest, not in inactivity, but in confidence. The kind of confidence that lets you move forward without striving, because you know the outcome is already in God's favor. You are not running to earn His approval anymore. You are running from it into the assignments it has unlocked. Chosen one. The battles no one saw are often the ones heaven values most. Anyone can stand firm when surrounded by a crowd, but you stood when there was no one to watch, no one to encourage, no one to applaud. You fought wars in the silence of midnight, battles that left no visible scars, but nearly tore your soul apart. It is in these unseen moments that your faith was proven genuine. The enemy wanted to break you in secret, so that when the public moment came, you would have nothing left to give. But he underestimated you. He did not account for the one who stood beside you in every invisible war. The Spirit of God was your unseen ally, strengthening you when you were ready to collapse, whispering courage into your spirit when your own words failed you. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 19. They will fight against you, but will not overcome you. For I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord. This was not just a promise for ancient days, it was written into the fabric of your life. You are the living proof of it. They fought against you in ways that can't be put into words. Yet here you stand. These battles shaped your heart in ways no easy season could. They taught you the discipline of prayer without needing a stage. They taught you how to listen for God's voice when the noise of the world was deafening. They trained you to see through the schemes of darkness before they unfolded. You became spiritually sharp in silence. Some of the greatest victories in your life will always be invisible to others. They will not know the nights you stayed on your knees until the first light of morning. They will not know the words you swallowed instead of speaking in anger. They will not know the temptations you walked away from when no one was there to witness it. These are the victories heaven records with joy. Your unseen battles also exposed the enemy's desperation. He would not have come after you with such intensity if you were not carrying something of immense value. The weight of his attacks is the measure of your assignment's importance in trying to destroy you in secret. The enemy only confirmed your identity in the kingdom. There is also a reason why God allowed these battles to remain hidden from the eyes of others. If they saw everything, they might misunderstand you, pity you, or even try to rescue you from a process meant to refine you. God shielded you from human interference, so the work he was doing in you would be completed without distraction. Chosen one. Never forget that heaven celebrates victories that earth ignores. Every tear you shed in the quiet became a seed planted in the soil of your future. Every whispered prayer became a stone in the foundation of what God is building through you. Every unseen victory has prepared you for the visible ones that are coming. Now, as you step forward, you will notice that the skills you learned in secret become your public strength. You will speak with authority because you have fought real battles. You will comfort others with precision because you know exactly what pain feels like. You will carry a confidence that cannot be faked because it has been purchased with real suffering. And here's the truth: your story will be a weapon. Every testimony of what God has done in the hidden places will pierce the darkness in someone else's life. The moments you thought were wasted will become the very proof that God is faithful. This is why the enemy hates your voice. He knows it carries the sound of survival. And survival always stirs hope in others. Let this sink deep into your spirit. The invisible seasons are not wasted years. They are sacred classrooms. They are the places where God trains his generals. You were not overlooked. You were handpicked for a curriculum few can endure. And now, that training will bear fruit for the rest of your life. Do not despise the hidden years. Chosen one. Celebrate them. Remember them. They are the secret chambers where your crown was forged. You fought battles that were not for the faint-hearted, and you emerged, still standing. The kingdom sees you. Heaven honors you. And now, it is time for the world to see the warrior you have become. Type "I am ready" in the comments. Not because the words themselves are magic, but because they mark a declaration, a seal over your spirit that you are stepping forward without fear. When you declare it, you are telling heaven you accept the next assignment. You are telling the enemy you are no longer afraid of his schemes. And you are telling yourself that you will not forget the strength you found in the unseen battles. Chosen one. Your light exposed the darkness long before you realized it. You thought you were simply walking through life, doing what was right, speaking truth, refusing to compromise. But in the spiritual realm, every step you took was like a flare in the night, sending shockwaves into places where evil had been comfortable for far too long. Darkness hates light because light does not fight it. It simply reveals it. You were not always aware of how much resistance your presence stirred. Yet you have seen the symptoms. People you never harmed became strangely hostile. Opportunities mysteriously dissolved. Rooms felt tense when you entered. This was not coincidence. It was collision. Your light collided with shadows that had no intention of leaving until you showed up. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 3, verse 20, "Everyone who does evil hates the light, and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed." You are not merely carrying light, you are a carrier of exposure. Wherever you go, hidden motives come to the surface. Hypocrisy starts to tremble. Deception begins to unravel. Not because you are perfect, but because you are aligned with the one who is. From your earliest days, there has been something in you that resists blending in with darkness. Even before you fully understood the kingdom, your instincts pushed you toward what was pure, true, and life-giving. Those instincts were not random. They were the early signs of the light God placed in you. And over time, that light has only grown stronger. This is why your journey has felt like you were constantly too much for some people. Too honest, too bold, too intense, too sensitive to wrong. The truth is, you are not too much. You are just too bright for those who have adjusted their eyes to the dark. Your clarity is blinding to them. Your refusal to compromise feels like confrontation, even when you are silent. The enemy has always understood this about you, which is why his attacks have often been aimed at dimming your light. He tried to make you question your worth, so you would hide. He sent voices to mock you, so you would silence yourself. He pushed circumstances to exhaust you, so your glow would fade. Yet, here you are, still shining, maybe not with the loud brilliance you once imagined, but with a steady, unshakable flame that darkness cannot put out. There is a unique authority that comes with being a light bearer. You carry it even in moments you feel weak. When you walk into an environment, you shift the balance of power without trying. Conversation change. Plans unravel. People adjust their behavior because something in them senses they are being seen not by you alone, but by the God who walks with you. And this exposure is not only for the sake of revealing evil, it is also for the sake of guiding those who are lost. Light is not just a warning, it is a path. Your life points the way forward, often without you realizing it. A coworker might find courage because you refuse to compromise. A family member might rethink their choices because they saw you forgive. A stranger might feel hope simply because your eyes carried kindness in their lowest moment. But here is the truth you must accept. Not everyone will love the light you carry. Some will hate it. Some will fight it. Some will walk away from you rather than face what your presence makes them confront about themselves. This is part of the cost. You are not called to make everyone comfortable. You are called to be faithful to the one who lit your flame. In seasons past, you may have tried to dim your light for the sake of peace. You may have lowered your standards, softened your convictions, or remained silent when you knew you should speak, just to avoid tension. But those days are over. The training you have walked through has made it clear. Your light is not negotiable. The mission God has given you cannot be fulfilled in the shadows. Even now, there are people watching you who have not yet revealed themselves. They are testing the light you carry, trying to discern if it is real or just another flicker that will fade under pressure. And every time you stand your ground, every time you choose truth over convenience, your light proves itself authentic. Do not underestimate how powerful this is. In a world drowning in confusion, the smallest point of steady light can draw people from miles away. You may not see the full impact of what you carry, but the kingdom does. Heaven has positioned you in places where your light is not only welcome, but desperately needed. You will find in the days ahead that the intensity of your light will draw both the broken and the bitter. Some will seek you out because they are drawn to hope. Others will approach you in order to extinguish what they cannot understand. Stand firm in both cases. Welcome the hungry. Resist the schemes of the hostile. Remember, light does not need to argue with darkness. It simply needs to shine. Chosen one. This light in you is not a decoration. It is a weapon. It is the reason you have been spared. The reason you have been refined. The reason you are still standing. Every attack that tried to destroy you was, at its core, an attempt to snuff out this light, but they failed. And because they failed, the darkness in your path is about to retreat faster than you have ever seen. Walk forward with this awareness. You are not just living your life, you are carrying the presence of God into every room you enter. You are shifting atmospheres without even opening your mouth. You are a living testimony that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. And nothing, no lie, no attack, no shadow will ever change that. Chosen one. The mark of the chosen is not a visible tattoo or a crown that men can see. It is something deeper, an invisible seal placed on you by heaven itself. This seal is recognition in the spiritual realm that you belong fully to the King, that your life is under divine ownership, and that your destiny cannot be stolen. From the moment God placed this seal upon you, the trajectory of your life shifted. You may not have understood it at the time. You may have even tried to live as if you were just like everyone else. But life refused to let you blend in. No matter how hard you tried, something set you apart: your thoughts, your convictions, your reactions to injustice, your hunger for truth. The seal on your life would not let you settle for ordinary. According to what is revealed in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 22, He set His seal of ownership on us and put His Spirit in our hearts as a deposit, guaranteeing what is to come. This means your mark is not symbolic. It is real, spiritual, and eternal. It is both a promise and a protection. It tells every power of darkness, this one is claimed. The seal does not make life easier. In fact, it often makes the path narrower. You will find that you cannot go where others go without feeling a deep discomfort in your spirit. You cannot indulge in what others enjoy without sensing a divine hand pulling you back. The seal on you is a constant reminder that you were not made to blend in with the crowd. You were made to represent the kingdom. Over the years, the mark of the chosen has been tested in you. There were seasons when you questioned whether you truly belonged to God. The storms seemed too strong, the silence too long, the trials too relentless. But each time, the seal proved stronger than the circumstances. You always found yourself drawn back to Him, no matter how far you wandered in thought or emotion. This mark also works as a beacon. Even when you do not actively speak of your faith, others can sense there is something different about you. Some are drawn to it, others are repelled by it. But either way, they notice. This is why strangers have opened up to you about their deepest pain. Why people have sought your counsel even when you didn't feel qualified. The mark of the chosen radiates a spiritual authority that draws both the broken and the searching. And yes, this mark makes you a target. The enemy cannot steal it, but he will try to make you doubt it. He will try to convince you that the seal has faded, that your failures have erased it, that you are no longer worthy to carry it. But he is a liar. The seal was placed by God, and what God marks, no one can unmark. This is why your life feels set apart, even in ordinary spaces. You are not defined by titles, positions, or human recognition. Your identity is anchored in something far greater. The seal on you is recognized in heaven, feared in hell, and sometimes misunderstood on earth, but its power remains unshaken. I want to speak plainly to you now, because this truth matters more than you realize. There are moments ahead where you will feel unqualified, unsure, and unseen. In those moments, remember the mark. Remember that before you accomplished anything, before you proved yourself to anyone, God had already chosen you. He placed His name over you. He claimed you as His own. That is enough. This mark is why doors will open for you that you never knocked on. It is why some battles will be won before you even arrive. It is why your words will carry weight in conversations that seem casual. You are not walking into rooms alone. You are entering as one who carries the King's authority. The world may not understand the mark, but the kingdom does. And as you walk forward, this mark will become a greater and greater testimony. People will see your resilience and not understand how you survived. They will see your peace and not comprehend how you hold it in chaos. They will see your joy and not know that it was born from seasons of deep pain. The mark will speak even when you are silent. If these words are stirring something in your spirit, I want to invite you to stay close. The journey ahead will be filled with revelations and strategies that will strengthen your walk. If this message resonates with you, like it as a way of saying, "Yes, I know I am marked." Share it so another chosen one can be reminded of their seal. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so these reminders keep finding you exactly when you need them most. Sometimes, heaven sends the right word at the right time through the smallest click. Chosen one, wear your mark without shame. You are not just surviving, you are carrying the signature of heaven. You have been claimed, commissioned, and covered. That is why you are still standing. That is why you will continue to stand. And that is why the future is not something to fear. It is something to look forward to. Chosen one. There are moments in your life when it feels as though nothing around you has changed. Yet something within you has completely shifted. That is the invisible graduation. No audience applauds. No certificate is handed to you. No formal announcement is made yet in the spirit. A ceremony has taken place. You may not have recognized it at first. Perhaps it was an ordinary day. You woke up, went about your routines, handled the same responsibilities as yesterday. But in the unseen realm, heaven placed a crown upon your head. You advanced in rank. You stepped into a new level of authority. The prophet Elijah spoke, as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 3. Observe what the Lord your God requires. Walk in obedience to Him, and keep His decrees and commands, His laws and regulations, as written in the law of Moses. Do this so that you may prosper in all you do, and wherever you go. This was the graduation requirement you fulfilled, not in a classroom, but in the battlefield of life. Your obedience was your final exam, and you passed. Invisible graduations are the most powerful kind because they cannot be undone by human opinion. No one voted you in, so no one can vote you out. This advancement is sealed by God's authority, not man's. It is not based on a moment of popularity, but on the steady, quiet choices you made when no one was watching. Your promotion in the spirit might explain why the opposition against you has felt heavier recently. Higher authority attracts higher resistance. The enemy can sense when you have been entrusted with more power, and his goal is to make you doubt that promotion before you have time to grow into it. But if God has placed the crown, no accusation can remove it. You see, earthly graduations measure knowledge, but heavenly graduations measure faithfulness. You have been through storms that could have justified giving up, but you didn't. You faced betrayals that could have made you close your heart, but you chose to love again. You've walked through seasons of silence from God and still held on to His word. These are the hidden qualifications that heaven honors. And while the world celebrates visible success, heaven celebrates invisible readiness. That readiness in you is what triggered this promotion. You didn't earn it by charm or force. It came because God Himself has decided you are ready. From this moment forward, you may notice that you are carrying more weight in the Spirit. Words you speak in prayer will hit harder. Declarations you make in faith will happen faster. Your discernment will sharpen in ways you didn't expect. This is because the graduation didn't just place a crown on your head, it placed a mantle on your shoulders. Chosen one. The mantle will feel heavy at times. You will feel the pull of greater responsibility. You will sense God asking for deeper obedience, quicker surrender, and sharper discipline. This is not to burden you, it is to match your capacity with your calling. Your invisible graduation is also an invitation to walk in greater confidence. No more shrinking back when God asks you to speak. No more hesitating when the Spirit nudges you to move. You are no longer a student in training. You are a carrier of wisdom forged in the fire. This is the time to step forward with courage. This moment is also deeply personal. Invisible graduations are often preceded by seasons of hidden pain. You know what you had to walk through to get here. You know the nights you questioned your worth, the days you felt like nothing was moving, the prayers that seemed unanswered. But now you see those seasons were not wasted. They were your preparation. Your advancement will not always be recognized immediately by those around you. Some will not understand why you suddenly carry more influence. Others may resist the change. But over time, the fruit of your new level will be undeniable. God Himself will confirm it through open doors, supernatural provision, and divine alignments. And so, I must tell you, own this moment. Heaven has celebrated you. The angels have marked the date in eternity's records. You are not where you were yesterday. Even if everything around you looks the same, in the Spirit, you have crossed a threshold you will never go back over. If this word is resonating deep in your spirit, leave the number 888 inch, the comments. It is a prophetic number of new beginnings layered with divine abundance, a sign that your invisible graduation is not just a promotion, but a doorway into a season overflowing with God's provision and presence. By typing it, you are agreeing with heaven's verdict over your life and declaring, I step fully into what God has already given me. Chosen one. There comes a time when heaven opens a vault and releases knowledge not meant for every ear. This is the scroll of secrets. It is not made of paper and ink. It is written in the language of the Spirit, etched into the depths of your soul. These are truths God only entrusts to those who have endured the refining fires without turning back. For years, you have been in a process that, to the natural eye, looked like delay. In reality, it was the slow unlocking of your spirit. preparing you to hold what others could not carry. You have proven trustworthy with small revelations, and now you are being invited to handle weightier truths. This is no small matter. The same secrets that strengthen can also crush if given too soon. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 29. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may follow all the words of this law. This means what you are about to receive is not for curiosity, it is for responsibility. When God reveals something, He expects you to walk in it, live by it, and steward it for the sake of others. The scroll of secrets often begins to open through whispers in prayer, moments where your thoughts seem suddenly illuminated with clarity you did not earn. Sometimes it comes through scripture you have read 100 times, but now feels alive in a way you cannot explain. At other times, it comes through experiences that break you open, where pain becomes the doorway to deeper understanding. You must understand, chosen one, that revelation carries weight. The more you know, the more you are accountable for. Heaven does not release insight to entertain you. It releases it to position you for impact. What you are about to learn will shape your decisions, refine your discernment, and sharpen your authority. Some of these secrets will not be popular. They may go against what is comfortable in culture or even in religious circles. They may challenge the norms people have built their security on, but truth has never bowed to comfort. Truth stands, even when it is resisted, because it is anchored in God Himself. When the scroll opens, it also reveals patterns, threads that run through your life, connecting events you thought were random. You will begin to see how moments from years ago were not accidents but alignments. People who entered and left your life were part of a larger design. Even your deepest disappointments will start to make sense under the light of this revelation. This unveiling will also change how you see people. You will notice masks where others see faces, intentions where others see actions. You will sense when words are truth and when they are manipulation. This is not to make you cynical, but to guard the treasures God is giving you. Not everyone can handle the depth you now carry, and as with all precious things, there will be a temptation to share too much, too soon. Resist it. The scroll of secrets is meant to be opened in steps, not spilled in haste. There will be moments when the Spirit will nudge you to speak, and moments when He will hold your tongue. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Chosen one. One of the most profound effects of this new revelation will be how it reframes your battles. You will start to recognize the real enemy, the real strategy, the real stakes. No longer will you waste energy fighting surface-level distractions. You will strike at the root. You will pray with precision instead of desperation. You will move with strategy instead of reaction. This is why your preparation was so intense. The scroll of secrets is not a casual gift. It is a mantle of responsibility. It places you in a position where heaven can trust you with details about what is coming. Not to frighten you, but to prepare you and those connected to you. Some of what you will see will break your heart. Some of it will ignite your hope. And some of it will leave you in awe of how God works in ways beyond human comprehension. But through it all, one truth will anchor you. If He reveals it, He will sustain you through it. Your task now is to remain close to His voice. The scroll is not handed over once it continues to unroll as you walk with Him. Every step of obedience turns another page. Every act of faith lifts another seal. The journey ahead will be marked by layers of revelation, each one building on the last. This is not a path for the faint-hearted, but you are not faint-hearted. You have been forged for this. You have passed the tests that qualified you to carry the scroll. And now, chosen one, heaven leans in to whisper the things only you can hear, because you will not waste them. You will live them. You will guard them. You will release them when the time is right. Chosen one, there is a truth about you that the enemy has known longer than you have. It is the bloodline mystery, deep in your family's history, hidden behind both victories and tragedies. There runs a divine code, an assignment God wove into your lineage before you were even born. This mystery is why certain battles seem to have followed your family for generations. It explains why certain patterns of attack appear over and over. Not because God has abandoned your bloodline, but because darkness has tried to erase something heaven placed there long ago. The fight over your life has always been about more than you. It has been about what God intended to release through your family line, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 59, verse 21, "As for me, this is my covenant with them, says the Lord. My spirit, who is on you, will not depart from you, and my words that I have put in your mouth will always be on your lips, on the lips of your children and on the lips of their descendants, from this time on and forever, says the Lord." This is not just a promise to an ancient people, it is a declaration that God weaves his purposes into generations. If you look closely, you may find that in your family line, there were those who carried pieces of the calling you now hold. Some may have walked with great faith, but did not see the fullness of the promise. Others may have felt the pull of God, but were cut down by hardship, temptation, or spiritual attack before they could complete their assignment. The enemy works hard to stop a generational mission before it can be fulfilled. And yet, here you are, not by accident, not as a random branch on a family tree, but as one chosen to pick up what was left unfinished. You are both a continuation and a new beginning. Heaven has placed in you the authority to break what needs to be broken and to release what has been locked away. This is why some of your struggles have felt heavier than others around you. You have been wrestling with more than your own story. You have been contending for the stories of those who came before you and those who will come after. The resistance you have faced is proof of the weight you carry in the spirit. The bloodline mystery is also the reason why God has been so intentional with your preparation. You are not only representing yourself before heaven, you are representing the prayers of ancestors who cried out for deliverance, for righteousness, for restoration. Some of those prayers were whispered generations ago, and you are the answer to them. There is also a sacred responsibility in this mystery. To carry it well, you must walk in humility and obedience. This is not about glorifying your family name. It is about glorifying the one who gave it purpose. The inheritance you carry is spiritual first, and everything else will flow from that. As God reveals more about this mystery, you will begin to see patterns in your own life that make sense in a new way. Certain skills, interests, or convictions you thought were random will reveal themselves as part of the divine design. Even the wounds you carry may be connected to this calling, shaping you into someone who can minister to those with similar scars. You will also begin to notice how your obedience affects more than just you. When you choose righteousness over compromise, it is as if a ripple moves backward and forward through your family line, touching past and future, generational curses lose their grip. Generational blessings increase in strength. Your life becomes a turning point. This is why the bloodline mystery cannot be taken lightly. God entrusts it to those He knows will not abandon it halfway. You may feel the weight of it at times. The sense that what you do matters more than you can see. That feeling is real. Because, in the spirit, your steps are rewriting the story of your family. Do not be surprised if the enemy tries to remind you of your family's failures or to convince you that you are destined to repeat them. Those are lies aimed at stopping the restoration God is doing through you. The truth is, your story is proof that God can redeem anything. He takes what the enemy tried to destroy in one generation and turns it into a weapon in the next. Chosen one. You are part of something bigger than yourself. The bloodline mystery is not a burden meant to crush you. It is a calling meant to anchor you. It means your victories will matter for years to come. It means your faithfulness will echo long after you are gone. It means that heaven has written your name into a chapter that began long before your birth and will continue beyond your lifetime. Walk in the awareness of this truth. Let it give you strength when the battle is fierce. Let it give you focus when the path feels unclear. And let it remind you that nothing in your life is random, not the family you were born into, not the struggles you have faced, and not the victories you are about to see. Chosen one. There are records being kept about you that no earthly pen can write. These are the Watchers' reports. The Watchers, heaven's appointed messengers, have seen every step you've taken, every choice you've made, every battle you've fought in secret. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has gone unnoticed. Some of these reports are full of victories you didn't even realize. You won moments when you resisted temptation, when you forgave before anyone apologized, when you prayed for someone who hurt you. Other reports contain battles where you felt like you failed, yet heaven counted them as training because you got back up. The ancient words recorded in Daniel chapter 7 verse 10 say, "The court was seated, and the books were opened." These books are not metaphors alone. They are spiritual records of every life, including yours. And within those pages, your story is written with details the world never saw. The Watchers' reports are not just chronicles of your past. They are testimonies before the throne of God. They speak in your defense when the enemy accuses you. They remind heaven of your faithfulness, even in moments when your own heart condemned you. And they carry weight because every report builds the case for your next assignment. This is why certain seasons feel like constant surveillance. You've felt it before. That strange awareness that your choices matter more than usual. That's because the Watchers were recording. The tests in those seasons weren't about passing or failing. They were about proving the kind of heart you carry. And let me tell you something, those reports are not just filed away. They are read aloud in the courtrooms of heaven. Imagine the moment when your name is spoken before the King of Kings. Not as a warning, not as a rebuke, but as a declaration of trust. This one has endured. This one has stayed the course. There have been times you thought your faith was invisible to everyone around you, but the Watchers wrote it down. There were days you felt like your prayers went unheard, but the Watchers recorded every word, every tear, every whisper of hope. Even the smallest acts of obedience, things no one else applauded, have been documented as treasures in heaven's archives. Chosen one. These reports are also why your breakthroughs often come suddenly. You may feel like nothing is changing, but in the background, the record has been building, and at the right time, heaven looks at the accumulated testimony of your life and says, "Now." That's when the doors open. That's when the provision comes. That's when the assignment is released. You must also understand that these reports don't just influence your future, they protect it. When the enemy tries to block you, the Watcher's records serve as legal evidence that you are walking under heaven's covering. It's why some attacks have failed before they even began. The evidence of your faithfulness stood in the way. But here is the challenge once you know you are being watched in this way. The temptation is to perform, to do good, so it can be recorded. But the Watchers are not fooled by performance. They record the truth. Heaven values authenticity far above image. Your reports are strengthened when your actions flow from love, not from trying to look worthy. Some of you may feel a mix of comfort and conviction. Reading this, comfort because you now know your unseen efforts matter. Conviction because you realize there have been seasons when your choices did not align with the call on your life. But even here, the Watchers record redemption. When you turn back to God, when you realign your heart, when you repent sincerely, they write that down too. These reports will follow you into eternity. They will be part of your reward, part of the crown you lay before Jesus. But they also affect the here and now. Some doors you are about to walk through are opening because the Watcher's reports have reached their fullness. You've proven you can be trusted with more. Think of it this way. Heaven has been building your case for years. Not a case to condemn you, but a case to promote you. Every moment of faith, every refusal to quit, every prayer you prayed in the dark, they all strengthen the evidence. And now, the verdict is shifting in your favor. This is also why some of your victories feel bigger than your own capacity. They are not just answers to your prayers, they are rewards for years of faithfulness documented in heaven. You may not feel like you've earned it, but the record says otherwise. The Watchers have testified. The court has agreed. Chosen one. Walk with this awareness. You are not unseen. You are not forgotten. You are not just surviving day to day. You are building a testimony that heaven treasures. Your life is speaking in places your feet have not yet walked. And when the next season unfolds, you will see the evidence of these unseen records in every open door, every divine connection, every supernatural provision. This is not the time to grow weary. The reports are still being written. Every choice matters. Every moment counts. And when the final page of this season is turned, you will see that nothing was wasted, not even the struggles you thought disqualified you. Type "I hear you" in the comments. Not for me, but as a prophetic sign in the Spirit. It says, God, I recognize you've been watching. I know my life matters. I choose to keep going. It's a short declaration, but it seals something between you and heaven. The Watchers will record it too. Chosen one. When the terrain beneath your feet shifts in the spirit realm, you may not see it with your eyes, but you will feel it in your soul. You have stepped into such a moment now. Everything in the unseen realm has been rearranged, and the atmosphere around your destiny is no longer the same. This kind of shift does not happen by accident. It is the result of seasons of endurance, moments of obedience, and battles you thought were breaking you, but were actually qualifying you. When the spirit realm shifts, authority lines are redrawn, strongholds crumble, and territories that were once locked to you suddenly open. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 17. But the Lord stood at my side. and gave me strength, so that through me the message might be fully proclaimed, and all the Gentiles might hear it. The shift is proof that the Lord has stood with you, strengthening you for a work that is about to expand far beyond what you once thought possible. You might have noticed the signs already. The resistance you faced in previous seasons no longer holds the same power. Conversations that used to drain you now pass over you without taking your peace. Temptations that once felt almost irresistible now seem strangely powerless. This is the evidence of spiritual repositioning. You have been moved to higher ground. This higher ground is not for comfort, it is for impact. God is giving you an elevated vantage point, allowing you to see more clearly the strategies of both heaven and the enemy. From here, your prayers will be more precise, your steps more intentional, your authority more evident. You will speak and watch the ripple in the spirit, push back darkness. But with this shift comes a new level of responsibility. You will find God holding you to higher standards. He may ask you to step away from conversations, relationships, or habits that were acceptable in the last season, but will weigh you down in this one. The altitude of this new ground requires a lighter load. Chosen one. The shift in the spirit realm is also a sign that God is entrusting you with more territory. For some, that will mean influence over people you've never met. For others, it will mean favor in places you were previously denied. For still others, it will mean increased authority in prayer that dismantles things over your family, community, or even nations. You might feel unprepared for this, but remember, you have already been equipped in ways you didn't recognize. Every battle you fought in the dark was training. Every season you thought was wasted time was actually preparation for this moment. The shift has happened because heaven has decided you are ready. One of the greatest dangers after a shift is trying to operate the same way you did before. What worked in the old territory may not work here. God will give you fresh strategies, new rhythms, and sharper discernment to match your new position. Pay attention to the quiet instructions. What you do in obedience now will multiply far faster than before. You may also notice that the shift has revealed people's true positions in your life. Some who were close will quietly distance themselves, not because of anything you've done, but because your new ground intimidates what is still unresolved in them. Others will draw nearer, sensing that something about your life has changed. Do not fear either reaction. Both are part of the sorting God is doing in this season. The enemy is not blind to this shift, and he will attempt to reclaim ground through distraction, discouragement, or deception. That is why your awareness must be sharp. When you feel a sudden heaviness or confusion, recognize it for what it is, an attempt to drag you back to lower ground. Stand firm. You have authority to remain where God has placed you. Chosen one. The shift also means that your voice matters more. Now, the words you speak carry more spiritual weight. Be intentional with what you declare, especially over yourself and those around you. Blessings will travel farther, so will careless words. This is the season to align your tongue with heaven. And while this shift is deeply personal, it is not only for you. God repositions his people for the sake of others. The new ground you have gained will become a refuge for those still fighting their way up. Your testimony, your strategies, your prayers will open paths for them as well. If this message is stirring your spirit, I want to invite you to help spread it. Like this, so it stays in your heart as a reminder of what God is doing. Share it with another chosen one who might not realize they've stepped into new territory. And subscribe so that each word heaven releases finds you without delay. You never know when the next revelation will meet you exactly at the moment you need it. Your shift in the spirit realm is not temporary. This is not a fleeting moment of inspiration. It is a permanent relocation in the kingdom. From this day forward, your authority will operate from this higher place. You will not be brought back to the ground you've left unless you willingly walk there. And knowing what you now know, you will never want to. So, lift your head and take in the view. From here, you are standing on ground that was fought for sometimes by you, sometimes by those who prayed for you without your knowledge. This place is sacred, it is strategic, and it is yours. Walk in it, guard it, multiply it. The shift is complete, and the assignments ahead will demand the very best of what God has placed in you. But you will not face them alone. The same God who brought you here will walk with you into every step of the territory He is entrusting to you. Chosen one. If you could see the enemy's blueprint for your life, you would understand how many times you were supposed to be gone by now. The attacks against you were not random. They were calculated assassination attempts aimed at your purpose, your peace, and your future. Some of these attacks came at you directly, like storms that tore through without warning. Others came subtly, woven into conversations, relationships, and opportunities that seemed harmless at first. The goal was always the same: to silence your voice, to crush your faith, to make you surrender your calling without a fight. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms chapter 34 verse 19, "The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all." That verse is not poetic comfort, it is your lived reality. The number of times you have been delivered is greater than you know. Many escapes were invisible to you, happening before the danger could even reach your awareness. The enemy aimed at your life. You remember the moments, nights you felt you couldn't go on, days when hope seemed out of reach. Sometimes the attack was against your body, through sickness or exhaustion, meant to weaken your resolve. Other times it was against your mind, whispering lies until you doubted everything good about yourself. Then there were the attacks on your faith, circumstances designed to make you question if God still saw you, delays that tempted you to believe the promises were empty, losses that tried to convince you that nothing was worth believing for anymore. These were not just hard seasons, they were targeted strikes against your foundation. And yet, every time, something in you refused to let go. Even if all you could manage was a whisper of a prayer, you prayed. Even if your hope was hanging by a thread, you didn't cut it loose. This stubborn faith, the kind that survives not because it is strong, but because it is anchored, has been your greatest defense. Looking back, you may see a pattern. Right before each significant breakthrough in your life, there was a moment when things became unusually difficult. That was not coincidence, it was a desperate attempt to stop what was coming. The enemy knew the door was about to open and tried to make you walk away before it did. Some attacks were meant to isolate you, to convince you that no one would understand or care. Isolation is a powerful weapon. It magnifies pain and distorts perspective. But even there, God sent reminders, a timely message, a scripture, a friend who reached out unexpectedly, proof that you were not alone. Other attacks tried to redefine you, to make you believe you were less than who God said you were. Words spoken over you with cruelty, rejection that cut deep, accusations that felt unfair. These were all designed to make you question your identity. The enemy knows that if he can make you forget who you are, he can stop you from living out your assignment. But chosen one, identity sealed by God cannot be stolen by lies. It can only be surrendered, and you did not surrender it. Even when you doubted yourself, you never fully embraced the false identity the enemy tried to hand you. That resistance was victory, even when it didn't feel like one. Some of the greatest proofs of God's protection over your life are the attacks you never even knew about. There were accidents that didn't happen, illnesses that never took hold, betrayals that were uncovered before they could damage you. You only see a fraction of what you've been spared from. Heaven has been intercepting blows you didn't know were coming. These failed assassination attempts have done more than just let you survive. They have made you stronger. They have sharpened your discernment, so you now recognize danger earlier. They have deepened your compassion, so you can comfort others with authenticity. They have increased your dependence on God, so you walk less in your own strength and more in His. You may not have asked for these battles, but they have prepared you for the kind of authority that only comes from survival. When you stand before someone going through their own storm, you will carry more than words. You will carry the weight of someone who knows what it is to endure. The enemy's repeated failure is not just a testament to your resilience. It is evidence of God's faithfulness. Every plot was seen. Every scheme was interrupted. Every weapon was disarmed. Even if it grazed you on the way, you bear some scars. Yes, but those scars are proof you made it through what should have ended you. Chosen one, do not live in fear of what the enemy might do next. His record against you is already clear. He has failed every time. And because God's protection is not temporary, His failure will continue. The same hand that has delivered you before will deliver you again. What you carry now is not just survival, it is victory. You stand as living evidence that no assassination attempt, whether against your life, your mind, or your faith, can override the plans of God. And that evidence will speak louder than any lie the enemy has ever told about you. Chosen one, not every door in heaven's house is open to all. Some are reserved, hidden behind thresholds that only the proven may cross. You have reached such a threshold. This is the entrance to the divine library, the storehouse of revelation, wisdom, and mysteries God entrusts only to those He has refined. The divine library is not a place of dusty scrolls and fading ink. It is alive. Every word, every insight stored there carries the breath of God. When He grants you access, it is not for idle curiosity, it is to equip you for the battles and assignments ahead. The things you will see and understand in this space will reframe everything you thought you knew about your journey. The ancient words recorded in Proverbs chapter 2 verse 6 declare, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from His mouth come knowledge and understanding." This wisdom is not merely human reasoning, it is insight that pierces through confusion, discernment that sees beyond appearances, and knowledge that connects the visible with the invisible. The library is the place where this wisdom flows freely. You have been brought here because you have proven you will not misuse what you receive. Knowledge in the wrong hands becomes manipulation. Truth revealed to the unready becomes a weapon for pride. That is why God has been so patient in preparing you. Every season of waiting was a key forged for this very door. In the divine library, God shows you not only the what, but the why and the how. He reveals strategies that are not yet common knowledge in the earth. He gives you understanding of patterns and principles that others overlook. He uncovers the enemy's plans before they fully form, allowing you to dismantle them before they gain strength. Some of these revelations will be deeply personal answers to questions you've carried for years. Clarity about events in your past that once left you confused or hurt. Others will be for the sake of those you're called to lead or influence. God will trust you to deliver these truths at the right time, in the right way, to the right people. And not everything in this library will be easy to hear. Some truths will challenge you. They may call you to greater surrender, deeper holiness, or more sacrificial love. But every truth here is for your good and for the advancement of the kingdom. There will also be moments in this divine library when God asks you to keep something to yourself. Not every revelation is meant to be shared immediately. Some must be guarded, allowed to grow in your spirit until the moment they are to be released. This restraint is as much a part of your stewardship as the sharing. The more you walk in this access, the more your inner life will transform. You will think differently, speak differently, and pray differently. Your perspective will shift from earthly reaction to heavenly strategy. You will see problems not as walls, but as doors waiting for the right key. Chosen one. This level of wisdom carries both beauty and burden. People will begin to notice that you see more than others. They may ask for guidance, counsel, or interpretation of what they are going through. Handle this responsibility with humility. The wisdom is not yours. It is on loan from the one who owns the library. Understand this too. The enemy despises those with access to the divine library. He will try to distract you from spending time in it. He will attempt to fill your mind with noise so you cannot hear the whispers of heaven. Guard your access fiercely. Protect your time with God. Treat every moment in His presence as the priceless gift it is. This is also a place where God will show you things about the future, not to inflate your ego, but to align your steps. Sometimes it will be a glimpse, sometimes a detailed plan. Always, it will be enough to take your next step in faith. The divine library is not about knowing everything. It is about knowing exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. You may feel the weight of this privilege now, and you should. Not everyone receives this trust. You are being invited into a level of partnership with God that will leave a mark on everything you touch. The words you speak after leaving this place will not be the same as before. They will carry a depth and authority that comes only from having been in the presence of eternal truth. So, as you stand here, acknowledge what this means. Your days of living in confusion are over. Your steps will be ordered with precision. Your discernment will grow sharper by the day, and your life will become a living testimony of what it means to walk with heaven's wisdom in your hands. If your spirit agrees with this, and you receive it fully, type 555" the comments. This number is a prophetic sign of grace, multiplied a triple portion of the divine enablement you will need to carry and steward the wisdom God is entrusting to you. By writing it, you are saying to heaven, I will guard what you give me. I will walk in what you show me. I will not waste this gift. Len, chosen one. Survival was never meant to be your permanent assignment. You have been through enough battles to know how to endure, but now heaven is shifting your posture. The days of only holding the line are over. You are stepping into the season of transformation. This is not simply about you being changed. It is about you becoming an instrument of change in the lives of others. You have been prepared for this through experiences you didn't fully understand at the time. The wilderness you endured taught you dependence on God. The fire you walked through taught you resilience. The silence you faced taught you to listen for whispers instead of waiting for shouts. These seasons were more than tests. They were the shaping of a vessel that could carry transformation without being broken by it. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." This is that appointed time. The waiting was necessary so that when the assignment arrived, you would be ready not just to receive it, but to carry it to completion. Transformation begins with you, but it does not end there. God is about to place you in positions both public and private, where your presence will trigger change. You will walk into rooms and find that conversations shift, decisions turn, and atmospheres are altered simply because you are there. This is not about personality, it is about spiritual authority. You will notice that the assignments coming to you now require more than endurance, they require creativity, wisdom, and discernment. You will be called to build, to plant, to heal, and to restore. These are not quick works. Transformation takes time, and it often begins in places no one else wants to go. Some of the work will be in individuals. You will be sent to people who have been overlooked, dismissed, or written off. Your words, your prayers, and even your example will reignite hope where it was nearly extinguished. Others will need the kind of clarity you carry because you have lived through what they are facing now. Other parts of the work will be larger, impacting communities, organizations, or even movements. God will position you in places where decisions are being made, not just so you can have a seat at the table, but so you can influence what is built from that table outward. You are being given the ability to shape structures that will outlast you. Transformation is not always welcomed. Some will resist it because it threatens their comfort. Others will misunderstand it because they cannot yet see the bigger picture. That is why God has given you both courage and patience. Courage to speak and act when necessary, and patience to allow the process to unfold at the right pace. You will also discover that transformation requires sacrifice. There will be moments when you are called to let go of something good in order to make room for something greater. At times, you will have to choose between what is safe and what is right. The path of transformation often looks like loss before it reveals itself as gain. Chosen one. The authority you now carry to bring transformation is not a reward for effort, it is the fruit of surrender. You yielded to God in seasons where you could have taken control. You trusted Him when He asked you to wait. You obeyed when the instructions didn't make sense. That is why you can now be trusted with this. In the days ahead, you will begin to see signs that the work has already begun. You may notice sudden changes in the lives of those around you, patterns breaking, hope returning, faith stirring again. You may feel a new boldness in conversations where you once stayed silent. You may also experience greater resistance in certain places, which is a sign that the ground there is ready to be shifted. Do not be discouraged if transformation feels slow. God is more concerned with depth than speed. The most lasting changes often happen beneath the surface, invisible to the eye, until they break through in undeniable ways. Your role is to keep showing up, keep obeying, and keep trusting that what He started, He will finish. The assignment of transformation is also a mantle of stewardship. You will be responsible not only for what is built, but for how it is built. Motives matter. Methods matter. The kingdom is not advanced through manipulation or force, but through truth, love, and the unshakable power of God's Spirit. As you walk in this, you will see that transformation is contagious. Those who encounter it in you will begin to carry it themselves. You will spark movements without even trying, because true transformation always multiplies. You have waited a long time for purpose to feel this tangible. Now it is here. The days of surviving one storm after another have given way to a season where you will build in the calm and even build in the midst of the storm. You will not just endure the winds, you will plant trees that grow tall in them. Chosen one. This is the work you were made for. Every tear, every delay, every unseen battle has led to this moment. Transformation is no longer something happening to you. It is something happening through you. And because it is heaven's work, it will bear heaven's fruit, lasting, multiplying, and unstoppable. Chosen one. There are moments in life when you suddenly realize you've been living inside a prophecy without even knowing it. Long before you were aware, a word had been spoken over your life, and everything you've walked through has been shaping you to fulfill it. This is not coincidence. It is the unfolding of the prophecy you've been living. Sometimes prophecy comes in the form of a direct word from God to you, a dream you could not shake, or a vision that lingered in your heart. Other times, it is a word spoken over your family, your community, or even your generation, something that was waiting for someone willing to carry it forward. In either case, you have been walking in the storyline of heaven, even when you thought you were just surviving another season. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms chapter 139 verse 16. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. This is the essence of living prophecy. Your life is not random. It has been recorded in the book of God since before you took your first breath. When you look back, you may notice patterns in your life that now seem intentional. Relationships that came and went at precise times. Opportunities that arrived out of nowhere yet fit perfectly into your journey. Even the storms that once felt destructive now reveal themselves as refining fires that prepared you for your role. Living in prophecy doesn't mean everything has been easy. In fact, the more significant the word over your life, the more intense the opposition tends to be. The enemy has always sought to distort or delay what God has spoken. That is why some seasons felt like you were walking uphill through thick resistance because you were. And yet, prophecy has a way of protecting itself. Even when you wandered or felt far from the path, there was a pull in your spirit you could not explain, a restlessness that kept you from settling in the wrong place, a quiet nudge that redirected you before the wrong decision could take root. This is the mercy of a God who not only speaks a word, but also watches over it to see it fulfilled. Chosen one. Living prophecy often comes with a sense of being different, even when you don't understand why. Others might be content with certain choices or lifestyles, but something in you feels called higher. You've been set apart for something more. And even when you tried to blend in, the pull of your calling made it impossible. One of the most humbling parts of realizing you are living prophecy is understanding that the word over your life is bigger than you. It includes people you have yet to meet, places you have yet to go, and works you have yet to accomplish. Your obedience now shapes not just your present, but also the lives of those who will be touched by the fulfillment of this word. The journey of living prophecy also requires trust in God's timing. Many people lose heart because the fulfillment seems delayed. But prophecy is never late. It arrives at the appointed time. The waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. Every day between the word spoken and the word fulfilled is shaping you into someone who can hold the weight of the promise. And sometimes, you will find yourself stepping into moments that feel strangely familiar, as though you have been there before. This is the intersection of time and prophecy, the place where what God spoke long ago meets the present reality. These moments can be small or monumental, but they always carry a sense of holy recognition. Chosen one. The more you walk with God, the more you will begin to recognize the prophetic threads woven through your life. You will see how conversations, encounters, and even detours were pieces of a larger picture, and as that picture comes into focus, your faith will deepen, not just because you believe God can work, but because you have lived His work unfolding step by step. It's important to remember that living prophecy also calls for stewardship. Just because a word has been spoken does not mean it can be ignored. You are called to align your actions, your words, and your choices with what has been declared over you. Prophecy is both a promise and a responsibility. You will also find that the fulfillment of prophecy is often layered. Parts of it may have already come to pass, while other parts are still unfolding. This means you may live in a constant rhythm of receiving and anticipating, celebrating what has been fulfilled, while preparing for what is still to come. And then there is the moment, sometimes sudden, sometimes gradual, when you realize you are standing in the fulfillment of what you once could only imagine. You look around and see prayers answered, doors opened, and lives changed in ways that match the words spoken over you. This is not pride, it is the joy of seeing God's faithfulness with your own eyes. Living prophecy will always bring glory to God. Even when the path is difficult, the story it tells is one of His sovereignty, His timing, and His unwavering love. The challenges along the way will fade in comparison to the beauty of watching His word come to life in you. You may not yet see the full picture, but you can trust that every day brings you closer to it. The same God who spoke the word will bring it to completion. And when He does, you will stand as living evidence that nothing, no delay, no attack, no failure can stop what heaven has decreed. Chosen one. You are not just in a story, you are in a prophecy. And as you keep walking, step by step, you will see it unfold until every word has been fulfilled. Chosen one. In the courts of heaven, there are moments when the King rises from His throne, places a crown in His hands, and sets it upon the head of one who has been found faithful. This is not ceremony for the sake of spectacle. It is a coronation that marks the transfer of authority, identity, and destiny. And in the Spirit, this is where you now stand. The heavenly coronation is unlike any honor given by man. Earthly crowns are crafted from gold, jewels, and human recognition. They can be lost, tarnished, or stolen. But the crown placed upon you is forged from obedience, refined by trials, and sealed by God Himself. It cannot be removed by human hands, and no darkness can tarnish its brilliance. The voice of God thundered in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 11. I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. This is a reminder that the crown is not just a gift, it is a charge. You are now responsible for carrying it with humility, guarding it with vigilance, and using the authority it represents for the advancement of the kingdom. You did not receive this crown overnight. Every act of faith, every refusal to compromise, every moment you stood when you could have bowed was a jewel set into it. The times you loved when it was easier to hate, the times you forgave when it would have felt better to stay bitter, the times you prayed when it seemed pointless, these were the moments heaven counted and remembered. The coronation is also the public acknowledgement in the spirit realm of what has already been true in your private walk. Angels see it. Demons see it. The crown is a visible sign of your authority in both realms, and it changes how you are regarded. Doors that were shut to you will open simply because you now carry the seal of one who has been crowned. But with this crown comes a call to live differently. The weight of it will remind you that your choices now influence more than just yourself. You carry influence in the spirit, and your obedience or disobedience will ripple outward into the lives of many. The crown is both an honor and a responsibility. Chosen one. The coronation does not mean your battles are over. In many ways, they will intensify, because the enemy despises the sight of a crowned believer. But the difference now is that you fight from a position of authority, not for it. The crown is proof that you have already been given victory in areas where you once struggled to stand. You will find that your words carry more weight now. When you speak life, it will take root quickly. When you declare truth, it will cut through deception. When you pray, the impact will be felt immediately in the spirit. The crown amplifies your voice because it represents alignment with the king's authority. Your presence will also shift environments in a greater way. People will sense the authority you carry, even if they cannot name it. Some will be drawn to it, seeking the peace and strength they feel when you are near. Others will resist it, unsettled by the light it represents. This is not a sign to shrink back. It is confirmation that your crown is visible in realms beyond sight. The coronation also marks a new chapter in your calling. There will be invitations both divine and earthly that you could not have handled before. God will place you in positions where your influence will matter more than your title, where your obedience will carry more weight than your credentials. This is the fruit of the crown. You may feel unworthy of this moment, remembering your flaws, your failures, your moments of weakness. But the crown is not given to the perfect. It is given to the faithful. God knew every mistake you would make and still chose you. He saw the end from the beginning and still called you his own. This is grace, and grace has crowned you. This is also the moment to recognize that the crown is not for display, it is for service. Kings and queens in the kingdom are not called to be served, but to serve. The authority you now carry is to lift others, to speak justice, to protect the vulnerable, and to advance God's purposes in the earth. Chosen one. You may not feel different, but everything in the spirit has shifted. You have been marked, recognized, and commissioned in a way that cannot be undone. Walk with your head lifted, not in pride, but in the confidence that comes from knowing who has placed the crown on you. If these words confirm what you feel stirring in your spirit, then don't let them pass in silence. Like this, so it becomes a reminder you can return to in the days ahead. Share it so another chosen one can recognize their own coronation moment. Comment below to affirm that you receive this crown and the call it represents, and subscribe so you don't miss the next word, because the journey of the crowned is just beginning, and heaven is still speaking. The crown you carry is not just a symbol, it is a declaration. It says to heaven, "This one is ready." It says to the earth, "This one is appointed." It says to hell, "This one is untouchable without the king's permission." Wear it with honor, guard it with vigilance, and use it to fulfill every purpose for which you were chosen. Chosen one. There is a shift in the air, but this time it is not about where you are standing, it is about what you carry. The authority you now possess is not a theory, not a hope, but a living, breathing reality that is recognized in the spirit realm. Demons recognize it. Angels honor it. Heaven backs it. Authority in the kingdom is not about volume or display. It is not found in the force of your personality or the impressiveness of your words. True authority comes from alignment, being so surrendered to God that His will flows through you without resistance. This is the authority you now carry, and it is a gift bought through your obedience in the hidden places. It was proclaimed in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19. "I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you." This is not poetic language. It is a legal transfer of power from the King of Heaven to you. You have felt glimpses of this authority before, in moments where your prayer shifted an atmosphere, where your words brought breakthrough, or where you simply stood your ground and watched resistance dissolve. But now, it will be different. This authority will not appear only in moments of crisis. It will rest on you continually. Carrying authority means you no longer approach battles from a place of fear. You begin from victory, not toward it. You stand on ground already won by Christ, and your role is to enforce that victory against anything that tries to challenge it. You will notice this in your interactions with people. Those oppressed or burdened will find relief in your presence, not because you are extraordinary in yourself, but because the spirit within you is greater than the forces that trouble them. You will sense when to speak and when to stay silent, when to confront and when to simply let the light in you do the work. This authority will also deepen your discernment. You will see the root behind surface problems, the spirit behind certain words or actions. You will no longer be distracted by what appears to be the issue. You will address the deeper cause. And there is something else about authority. It attracts opposition. The enemy is not intimidated by empty titles, but he fears true authority. This means that as you step into this role, you may notice new forms of resistance. Do not be alarmed. Opposition is often the confirmation that you are in the right position. Authority also carries the responsibility of stewardship. What you bind or loose in prayer has consequences. The decrees you make in faith will ripple through the spiritual and natural realms. This is why God has been refining your character, so that what you carry will always be used in alignment with His purposes. In practical ways, you will see doors open simply because you now stand with kingdom backing. Situations that once required you to explain or prove yourself will now shift without much effort, as if an unseen hand clears the way. This is not coincidence. It is the function of authority. You will also begin to influence people of influence. God will position you to speak into the lives of those whose reach extends far beyond your own. This is not for your fame, but for the advancement of the kingdom in places you could not access by natural means. Chosen one. Authority is not something you wear like a badge. It is something you live. It shapes the way you think, speak, and act. It changes how you respond to fear, how you handle temptation, and how you see yourself. It silences the lies of inadequacy because you are no longer operating in your name, but in the name above every name. This is why your steps must now be intentional. Authority without intimacy with God becomes dangerous, but authority rooted in daily surrender becomes unstoppable. Your strength will not come from trying harder, but from staying closer to Him who entrusted you with this mantle. The more you walk in this, the more natural it will feel. What once required great effort will become the steady rhythm of your life. You will move through your days with the quiet confidence of one who knows their place in the kingdom and their power in the Spirit. And though others may not fully understand what has changed in you, they will feel it. They will see the fruit of it in the peace you carry, the solutions you bring, the breakthrough that follows you. Some will ask about it, and when they do, you will point them not to yourself, but to the one who gave it, chosen one. Authority is not the end of your journey, it is a tool for the rest of it. You will use it to break chains, to release blessing, to advance light into dark places. And as you do, you will see the reality of the promise. Nothing will harm you. Chosen one. There is a chapter in every great story where the hero is not in their rightful place. They are away from the familiar, walking a path that feels empty and endless. In the kingdom, this chapter is called exile. You have lived it not as punishment, but as preparation. Exile is the place where God hides you, not because you are forgotten, but because you are being formed. It is the place where distractions fade and illusions are stripped away. Here, there is no applause to validate you, no familiar routine to comfort you, no crowd to blend into. There is only you, your thoughts, and God. We find in the book of Lamentations chapter 3 verse 28, "Let him sit alone in silence, for the Lord has laid it on him." This is the posture of exile, not frantic searching, but sitting in the quiet weight of God's hand, letting Him work in the deep places. Your exile may not have looked like a wilderness of sand or stone. It may have been a season where doors that used to open suddenly stayed shut. Friends who once walked with you drifted away. Opportunities you thought were certain vanished. On the outside, it looked like loss. On the inside, God was reshaping the very structure of your life. In exile, the noise of the world fades, and the voice of God grows sharper. At first, the silence is unsettling. You reach for the things that once gave you comfort, but they are no longer within reach. This is not cruelty, it is pruning. God is removing what you no longer need so that you can bear fruit you've never seen before. This season forces you to face yourself without the distractions. You see the cracks in your own foundation, the places where fear, pride, or insecurity still hold ground. God's light reaches into corners you've avoided, not to condemn you, but to heal you. Exile also reveals your true dependence. When the familiar is gone, you discover what you really trust in. You learn that your security is not in connections, income, or reputation, but in the unchanging presence of God. You begin to pray differently, not to be rescued from the season, but to be transformed by it. There is a strange paradox in exile. It feels like you are stuck. Yet, in the Spirit, you are advancing more than ever before. The deep work God does in hiddenness cannot be replicated in the public eye. This is where your roots grow strong enough to support the weight of your future calling. Chosen one. Exile also protects you. God knows the timing of your release. If you step into your assignment too soon, the weight of it could crush you. So he holds you back, like an arrow drawn in the bow. The longer the draw, the farther the release will carry you. During exile, you may feel misunderstood. Others may assume you've been sidelined because of failure or weakness. They cannot see the blueprint God is working from. They do not know that He is using this time to sharpen you, to refine your vision, to prepare you for influence that will require every lesson you're learning now. Even in exile, God sends provision. The manna may not look like what you asked for, but it will be exactly enough. The strength may come one day at a time, but it will be sufficient for each step. And though the scenery may feel unchanging, you are moving closer to your release with every obedient choice. One of the greatest gifts of exile is the intimacy it builds. Without the noise of constant activity, you learn to recognize God's presence in the smallest moments, a whisper in your spirit, a verse that speaks directly to your situation, a sense of peace that arrives without explanation. When the time comes for your return, it will not be subtle. God does not hide you only to bring you back unnoticed. Your re-entry will carry a weight of authority and wisdom that others will see immediately. They may not know where you've been, but they will know you are not the same. The exile before the return is a refining fire. It burns away what cannot remain and leaves only what is pure and enduring. It turns a wanderer into a leader, a survivor into a builder, a listener into a messenger. Chosen one, you will not remain here forever. The season of exile has an appointed end, and when that end comes, you will not step back into the same place you left. You will step forward into the place you were always meant to inhabit. The isolation will have trained you to value connection. The silence will have sharpened your voice. The hiddenness will have anchored your confidence in God alone. When you return, it will not be as the same person who left. You will carry a new steadiness, a deeper compassion, and a stronger vision. You will recognize that exile was not wasted time. It was the very ground where your destiny took root. So, embrace what remains of this season. Let the quiet do its work. Let the refining reach its end. Trust that the God who led you here knows the exact moment to call you out. And when He does, you will walk into your future with the strength and clarity of one who has been prepared in the hidden place. Chosen one. There is a sound in the spirit right now, like the unlocking of a long-sealed vault. That vault is you. It holds treasures that heaven placed inside before the foundations of the world, treasures that were hidden until the appointed time. And that time is now. You have lived through seasons where you thought you were simply surviving. But in truth, those were the seasons when your gifts were being prepared. Some were planted deep, hidden beneath layers of circumstance, self-doubt, or the slow erosion of hope. Others were wrapped in trials so intense you thought they might destroy you. Yet, in the pressure and heat of those seasons, heaven was shaping them into their most potent form. The apostle reminds us in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 7, "Now to each one the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good." The gifts in you were never meant to sit dormant, never meant to exist for your benefit alone. They were designed as weapons, tools, and channels of God's love to build up those around you and to confront the darkness in your sphere of influence. Some of these gifts have brushed the surface of your life before. You've caught glimpses, A moment when words you spoke pierced someone's heart in exactly the right way. A prayer that carried a power you didn't understand. A sudden insight that solved a problem no one else could figure out. But those glimpses were only the edges. Now, the full measure is being released. The unlocking often begins in ways so subtle you could almost miss it. You may feel a growing boldness where you once hesitated. You may notice your spirit stirring when you encounter certain needs or injustices. You may find scriptures opening to you with clarity you didn't have before. These are not random. They are signs of activation. And here's what you must know. Unlocking is not just revelation. It is release. God is not merely showing you what's inside. He is removing the barriers that kept you from using it freely. This is why some relationships have shifted and some doors have closed. Recently, they were spaces where your gifts could not flourish. And God will not allow you to stay where your anointing is stifled. Chosen one. The activation of these gifts will change the way you move through the world. People will begin to experience God through you in ways they cannot explain. Some will be drawn to it with deep gratitude. Others will resist it because it disrupts what they've settled for. Both responses are proof that the gift is real. Do not be surprised if the enemy tries to intimidate you in this season. Gifts carry authority, and authority threatens darkness. Opposition will come, but it will only serve as confirmation. The same Spirit who unlocked these gifts will empower you to wield them with wisdom, precision, and courage. And remember, these hidden gifts often require hidden preparation. God may take you through fresh moments of quietness and separation, not to hold you back, but to fine-tune the way you use what He's given you. The sharper the tool, the more careful the craftsman must be in shaping it. These gifts will not only change the lives of others, they will transform you. They will stretch your faith as you see God move in ways that leave no room for coincidence. They will deepen your dependence on Him because you'll realize the gift is not a possession, it's a partnership. It flows best when you are surrendered. You will also discover that using your gifts will bring you joy in a way nothing else can. It is the joy of stepping into the precise reason you were created. The sense of restlessness you carried in past seasons will begin to fade because you are finally moving in alignment with your divine design. Some of you will find that as soon as you begin to use your gifts, God will multiply them. The more you pour out, the more He will pour in. You will pray for one person and find yourself leading many. You will share a word in a small group and later be given a platform to speak to hundreds. This multiplication is not about spotlight, it is about reach. The kingdom expands when the gifts of its people are in motion. The unlocking of hidden gifts also means God will place you in assignments you never considered before. You will be called into situations that seem beyond your comfort zone because the gift in you was made for that exact need. What feels risky to you will be routine for the Spirit of God working through you. Chosen one. Treat these gifts with reverence. Guard them from pride, from misuse, from being buried again under the weight of fear or complacency. Feed them with prayer. Sharpen them with obedience. And test them against the truth of God's word. You will notice that certain people will be drawn into your life in this season. Mentors, allies, and fellow laborers who will help you refine your gifts. Pay attention to these connections. Likewise, some relationships will fade because they cannot walk with you into this new level of responsibility. Let them go with peace. The coming days will hold moments of undeniable confirmation. You will act in faith and see results so precise they will leave you without doubt. This is God's doing. These moments are not only for encouragement, they are training for the greater works ahead. And while this unlocking is deeply personal, it is also generational. Your obedience in using your gifts will ripple into the lives of those who come after you. Children, spiritual sons and daughters, communities, they will all inherit the fruit of what you activate. Now, there will be times when the gift will cost you, moments when obedience will mean sacrifice. But every act of faithful stewardship will store treasures in heaven and expand the influence of the kingdom on earth. If you sense even now that God is stirring these hidden gifts within you, respond with a declaration. Type 444 the comments as a prophetic act. This is a number of alignment, Father, Son, and Spirit, bringing your purpose into perfect order. By writing it, you are marking this moment in agreement with heaven. I accept what you've placed in me. I will use it, and I will not let fear bury it again. Chosen one. The closer you walk with God, the more clearly you begin to see the reality that not everyone in your circle is for you. This is one of the most painful revelations of a maturing believer, that enemies can be found among the familiar. You expect opposition from the outside. You prepare yourself for resistance from strangers, from systems, from those who openly oppose your faith. But what catches you off guard is the quiet hostility that hides behind smiles. The subtle sabotage that comes from voices you once trusted. The wounds that are delivered by hands you thought were safe. We find in the book of Micah chapter 7 verse 6, "For a son dishonors his father. A daughter rises up against her mother. A daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the members of his own household." This is not a curse pronounced over you. It is a warning from the scriptures that loyalty is not guaranteed by proximity. The household is not always about blood relatives. It can be the inner circles of your friendships, your workplace, your ministry team, or your community, any space where trust has been built over time. These are the places where betrayal cuts deepest, because your heart was open and unguarded. The enemies among the familiar often operate in subtle ways. They may not attack you directly. Instead, they may plant seeds of doubt in others, withhold support when you need it most, or quietly celebrate when you stumble. Sometimes they mask their opposition with concern, offering advice that sounds wise, but is meant to slow you down or steer you off course. One of the most difficult parts of this reality is discerning who these people are. God rarely reveals them all at once. Often, He lets their actions expose them over time, so that your trust in Him grows stronger than your dependence on human approval. And when the revelation comes, it is rarely without pain. You may feel a sense of grief, even betrayal. You may question your own discernment, wondering how you could have missed the signs. But you must understand, these moments are not meant to make you cynical, they are meant to make you wise. God allows these exposures to protect you from greater harm later. If the enemy among the familiar were allowed to stay hidden indefinitely, they could do more damage when you step into greater influence. Exposure now is a mercy, even if it feels like a wound. Chosen one, you will also learn in this process that not every opposition requires confrontation. Sometimes God will instruct you to address it directly, but other times He will simply tell you to create distance and let Him handle the rest. Your assignment is not to convince everyone to like you, it is to remain faithful to what God has called you to do. Enemies among the familiar often underestimate the protection you carry. They may think their words or actions will derail you, but they do not account for the shield of favor around your life. What they intend for harm becomes fuel for your growth, strengthening your resolve and refining your focus. This is also a season where you will need to lean on discernment more than ever. Not everyone who smiles is safe. Not everyone who praises you in public will support you in private. The Spirit of God will give you subtle checks in your spirit when something is off. Trust those checks. They are often the first sign of hidden motives. You must also guard your own heart during this process. The enemy's goal is not just to use others against you, it is to use the betrayal to poison you with bitterness. If he can make you distrust everyone, he can isolate you and keep you from the relationships God wants to bring into your life. Forgiveness will be your greatest weapon here. It does not mean you allow the same access as before, but it frees you from the grip of resentment. Forgiveness is not for their benefit, it is for your freedom. It ensures that your heart remains a place where God's love can still flow without obstruction. There is also a hidden blessing in this exposure. It sharpens your vision for true allies. Once you have seen the harm that false loyalty can cause, you will treasure the rare gift of those who are genuinely for you. You will recognize them not by their words alone, but by their consistency, integrity, and willingness to stand with you in both triumph and trial. Chosen one. This season of exposure will not last forever, but its lessons will. You will carry this discernment into every future assignment. You will walk with eyes open, not in suspicion, but in wisdom. You will learn to test spirits, to weigh actions against words, and to recognize the difference between someone who is curious about your calling and someone who is committed to it. And as difficult as it may be, you will come to thank God for removing the wrong people from your inner circle. It is better to walk with a few who are truly aligned than to be surrounded by many who secretly hope to see you fail. When God prunes your relationships, it is always with the goal of making room for new growth. The space left by the familiar enemy will eventually be filled by those who are assigned to support, protect, and encourage you. But you must be willing to release before you can receive. In time, you will look back on this season and see that every exposure was a step toward greater freedom. You will realize that the loss of certain relationships was actually the preservation of your destiny, and you will walk forward lighter, wiser, and more secure in the God who reveals, protects, and restores. Chosen one. There are seasons when God places something in your hands so weighty that you feel its presence even in your sleep. It is not a physical object, it is the mantle. The mantle is both an honor and a burden, a visible sign in the spirit that heaven has placed a responsibility on you that cannot be ignored. This weight is not punishment, it is proof of trust. God does not give mantles to the careless. He gives them to those who have been tested in fire and found faithful. The mantle you now carry is the result of years of shaping, surrendering, and enduring. It is not light because what it represents is not small. Scripture says in the second book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 13, Elisha then picked up Elijah's cloak that had fallen from him and went back and stood on the bank of the Jordan. The cloak was the physical symbol of a spiritual transfer, the moment when Elisha stepped into the authority, responsibility, and power his mentor once carried. Your mantle is the same, a transfer from heaven, placing you in position to do what you could not do before. When the mantle rests on you, it changes everything. Your words carry more authority. Your prayers cut through spiritual resistance. Your very presence in a place shifts the atmosphere. People may not understand why they feel different around you, but the spirit within you is undeniable. Carrying a mantle also changes how heaven interacts with you. God will begin to give you instructions that feel heavier than before. You will sense Him calling you to a higher standard, asking for deeper obedience, and requiring quicker responses. The greater the mantle, the more closely the King will walk with you to ensure you carry it well. But the mantle is not just about your personal calling, it is about the people you are assigned to. Every mantle carries a mission. It may be to intercede for a group of people, to build something that will outlast you, to restore what has been broken, or to confront the works of darkness in a specific territory. And because the mantle carries great power, it also attracts great opposition. The enemy will test you, hoping you will drop it or misuse it. That is why God has refined you so that your character can support the weight of your calling. Without that refinement, the mantle could become a curse instead of a blessing. Chosen one, you may feel the heaviness now. That's normal. The weight is not meant to crush you, it is meant to anchor you. It keeps you steady when the winds of distraction blow. It reminds you of the sacred trust you've been given. It pushes you to remain in constant connection with the one who placed it on your shoulders. Do not compare your mantle to another's. Each one is crafted for its carrier. What feels heavy to someone else may feel natural to you because it was made to fit your life, your history, your skill set, and your faith. Likewise, your mantle would not fit another. It was made with your name on it. This is also a time to be careful about who you allow to speak into your life. Not everyone can understand the mantle you carry, and some will try to talk you out of it because it makes them uncomfortable. Protect your focus. Surround yourself with those who will encourage your obedience, not feed your doubt. The mantle is not meant to be carried in your own strength. You will find that when you step fully into it, a supernatural grace will meet you there. Tasks that once felt impossible will begin to flow. Strategies will come in prayer. Strength will rise in moments when you should be weary. This is the evidence that the mantle is real. It comes with the resources of heaven. If this word is resonating with your spirit, I want to invite you to help it reach those who need to hear it. Like this, as a way of saying, I recognize the weight I carry and I receive it. Share it with another chosen one so they can understand the sacred responsibility of their own calling. And subscribe so you're here when the next word is released, because the journey of carrying a mantle is not one to walk alone. And there is more you need to hear in the days ahead. Chosen one, do not shrink from the weight. Stand tall under it. Let it remind you of who you are and whose you are. The mantle is not a burden to fear. It is a sign that heaven trusts you with something too important to be left in anyone else's hands. Carry it with humility, with strength, and with unwavering devotion to the one who placed it on you. Chosen one, there are assignments in the kingdom that cannot be fulfilled alone. They are too large, too intricate, too generational in scope for one person to carry. For these, God orchestrates what I call divine partnerships, connections that are not based on coincidence or convenience, but on the careful alignment of destinies. A divine partnership is not just a friendship or a professional relationship. It is a bond forged in the spirit before it manifests in the natural. Often, it is the answer to prayers you didn't even know how to articulate. Sometimes it arrives suddenly, in a way that feels almost supernatural. Other times, it emerges slowly, as God weaves your life together with another's over time until the connection becomes undeniable. The ancient words recorded in Ecclesiastes chapter 4 verse 9 remind us, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor." This is not simply a statement about companionship, it is a kingdom principle. When God joins two people for his purposes, the result is always multiplication of influence, of strength, of impact. Divine partnerships are strategic. God knows the exact strengths and weaknesses of each person, and he pairs them in ways that cover gaps, sharpen gifts, and accelerate assignments. Sometimes your partner will carry a skill set you lack. Sometimes they will carry faith for areas where you still feel uncertain. Other times, their very presence will give you courage to step into territory you would not enter alone. But divine partnerships are not without their tests. The enemy understands the power of unity, and he will try to fracture it through misunderstanding, offense, or distraction. This is why such partnerships require humility, open communication, and a shared commitment to the mission above personal comfort. Chosen one. Some of you have been walking in isolation for so long that the thought of trusting someone at this level feels risky. I understand, but isolation, while useful in certain seasons of preparation, is not the long-term strategy for fulfilling the larger works of God. At some point, what's in you must connect with what's in another for the full picture to emerge. Divine partnerships are often surprising. You may find that the person God sends doesn't look like what you expected. They may come from a different background, have a different temperament, or even approach problems differently than you do. This is not a flaw, it is the intentional diversity God uses to create balance and strength. These partnerships can take many forms: ministry, allies, business collaborators, creative co-builders, prayer warriors who stand with you in the trenches, mentors who pull you higher, or spiritual sons and daughters who carry forward your work. The form matters less than the function alignment toward the purposes of heaven. When God brings such a connection, you will feel it in your spirit. There is an ease in the relationship. Even when challenges arise, there is a sense of mutual honor and a lack of competition. There is a clarity about the shared mission, even if all the details are not yet revealed. However, divine partnerships require stewardship. Just as you would protect a valuable resource, you must guard the trust, respect, and unity within the relationship. This means covering each other in prayer, speaking well of each other even when apart, and resolving conflict quickly before it can take root. You may be wondering, how will I know if a partnership is truly from God? The answer is fruit. Over time, you will see that the connection produces more than either of you could have achieved alone. It will bear the marks of God's favor, doors opening, solutions coming, strength increasing, not just for one of you, but for both. Divine partnerships also demand discernment in timing. Not every potential ally is meant to walk with you forever. Some are seasonal, meant to join you for a specific phase of the journey. When that season ends, it is not a failure. It is simply the completion of their part in the assignment. Learning to release with grace is as important as learning to receive with gratitude. Chosen one. In the days ahead, expect God to highlight certain people to you. Pay attention to repeated encounters, unusual favor, or conversations that ignite vision in you. These are often the early signs of a divine partnership forming. When the connection is confirmed, lean into it with intentionality. Share your vision. Listen to theirs. Pray together. Strategize together. Support one another in both public and private ways. The strength of a divine partnership is in its unity, and unity must be nurtured. Understand that the impact of such partnerships extends far beyond your own lifetime. Some alliances will plant seeds that future generations will harvest. This is why God is so deliberate about who He connects. You are not just building for now, you are building for what comes after you. Divine partnerships are also a reflection of God's nature. He Himself operates in relationship, Father, Son, and Spirit working in perfect unity. When you enter a partnership that mirrors this unity, you are aligning with the very design of heaven. And here is a truth that may surprise you. Sometimes the divine partner God brings is also being healed and restored through the connection, just as you are. The partnership becomes a place of mutual strengthening, where both of you are built up in ways you didn't anticipate. So, do not underestimate the power of the right person in the right season. One connection, ordained by God, can shift the trajectory of your calling. One ally who sees you through heaven's eyes can help you carry the weight of your assignment without breaking under it. If this resonates with your spirit, mark it with a declaration. Type "I agree" in the comments as a prophetic act, short, simple, and loaded with intention. It says to heaven, "I am open to the partnerships you have prepared for me. I will recognize them. I will honor them. And I will walk in unity for the sake of your kingdom." Chosen one. The days of walking alone are drawing to a close. The alignments coming to you now are not accidental, they are surgical. God is placing each piece exactly where it belongs. And when the connections lock into place, you will see a surge of progress that could never have happened alone. Walk with your eyes open, your heart discerning, and your spirit ready. The people God is sending are not just helpers, they are co-laborers in destiny. Together, you will accomplish what heaven wrote before time began. Chosen one. There is a moment in the journey where God does not just give you access to open doors, He gives you the authority to open them yourself. This is the shift from being dependent on opportunities to becoming a creator of opportunities, from waiting for someone to approve your path to walking in the approval that heaven has already spoken. Authority to open doors is not given lightly. It comes after seasons where you were faithful with little, where you honored the opportunities others gave you, where you resisted the temptation to force doors open before their time. It comes when God can trust that you will use this authority not for personal gain, but for the advancement of His purposes. We see this promise echoed in the book of Isaiah, chapter 22, verse 22. "I will place on His shoulder the key to the house of David. What He opens, no one can shut. And what He shuts, no one can open." The key represents access, but also responsibility. When you carry this key, you are not just walking through open doors, you are deciding which doors will stand open for others and which must remain closed. The authority to open doors changes the way you move. You are no longer merely a guest in someone else's space, you are a steward of the space itself. This means you will be positioned to grant entry to others who have been prepared by God but overlooked by men. You will become a bridge for those whose gifts have been hidden, a connector between people and opportunities that will release their potential. With this authority comes a heightened awareness of timing. Opening a door too soon can harm the person walking through it. Keeping it closed too long can cause unnecessary delay. The Spirit will train your discernment to know the exact moment when the latch must turn, when the invitation must be extended, when the shift must happen. Chosen one, do not underestimate the spiritual weight of this role. Every door you open will have ripple effects on lives, on families, on communities, sometimes even on nations. This is why God will continue to refine your motives and purify your intentions. The key in your hand is not a trophy. It is a tool. You will also be given the authority to shut doors. This may feel uncomfortable at times, especially when people expect you to leave every door open in the name of kindness or opportunity. But discernment will tell you when a door leads to destruction, distraction, or compromise. Closing it is not cruelty, it is protection. Some of the doors you open will be visible job opportunities, platforms, introductions, resources. Others will be invisible moments of intercession that unlock someone's breakthrough, prophetic words that open the door of someone's faith, acts of obedience that create openings in the Spirit over a place or situation. As you step into this authority, you will notice a new level of favor operating in your life. Rooms that were once beyond your reach will become accessible. Systems that were closed to you will begin to respond. People who hold influence will extend invitations without fully understanding why they are drawn to include you. This is the favor of God, making way for the key bearer to enter where the assignment requires it. But favor is not for comfort, it is for function. Once inside, your role is to steward the space in alignment with heaven's agenda. This may mean advocating for those without a voice, restructuring environments to reflect kingdom values, or setting boundaries that protect the purity of the work being done. You will also find that carrying the authority to open doors will make you a target for those who want access without alignment. There will be people who try to manipulate their way in, hoping to benefit from the favor on your life without honoring the God who gave it. This is where your discernment will be tested. The key must never be used in response to pressure. It must only turn at the leading of the Spirit. Chosen one, there is a humility required to carry this authority well. You must remember that you did not earn the key. It was entrusted to you. You must resist the urge to make decisions based on personal preference or past loyalty, and instead seek the wisdom of heaven in every situation. In time, you will see how this authority transforms your influence. You will no longer think only in terms of your own journey. You will begin to think generationally. You will recognize that some doors you open will never benefit you directly, but will change the trajectory of others for years to come. This is the mark of a true kingdom steward. The authority to open doors is also a call to intercede more deeply. You will often sense the lock in a situation long before you see it in the natural, and prayer will become the key that turns it. Your declarations, spoken in faith, will shift realities and cause barriers to fall. And perhaps the most profound part of this authority is that it mirrors the nature of Jesus himself. He is the door, the one who grants access to life, freedom, and purpose. When he places the key in your hand, he is inviting you to partner with him in the work of liberation and restoration. Chosen one, the days of standing outside and waiting are over. You are stepping into the role of the one who opens. Walk in this with reverence, with boldness, and with a heart that is always listening for the voice of the Master. For when he says, "Open," you will open. And when he says, "Shut," you will shut, and all of heaven will stand behind your decision. Chosen one. There are assignments that go beyond the span of a single life. They are too vast, too layered, too deeply woven into the history of a people to be completed by one person alone. These are generational assignments, missions given by God to a bloodline, intended to be carried forward from one generation to the next until the fullness of His purpose is revealed. The generational assignment is both a privilege and a weight. It means that your life is part of a story that began long before you were born and will continue after you are gone. It means that the choices you make today will echo into the lives of those who come after you, shaping their opportunities, battles, and victories. We are reminded through the words in Exodus chapter 3, verse 15, "This is my name forever, the name you shall call me from generation to generation." The God who gave His name to be known across time also gives assignments meant to stretch across time. He is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a God who works in legacies. Sometimes a generational assignment begins with someone who says yes for the first time in their bloodline. They break patterns of destruction, idolatry, or compromise and establish a new standard of righteousness. At other times, the assignment is something that was begun by those before you, but left unfinished, perhaps due to disobedience, opposition, or the simple passing of time. Chosen one. You may have felt the weight of this assignment without having the words for it. Perhaps you have carried a restlessness, a sense that your life is meant to shift something beyond yourself. You may have faced battles that seemed too heavy for just your own calling, conflicts that felt ancient, rooted in the soil of your family's history. This is because generational assignments often come with generational resistance. The same forces that fought your ancestors will try to fight you, hoping to stop the work from advancing to the next stage. But you do not fight alone. The prayers of those who came before you, those who loved God and longed for His will, are stored in heaven, interceding for you even now. A generational assignment requires a different kind of vision. You cannot measure success only by what you accomplish in your lifetime. You must think in terms of foundations laid, pathways cleared, seeds planted. Some of the greatest victories of your life will be seen only in the lives of your children, spiritual or natural, and in the lives of those they impact. This means your faithfulness is not optional, it is essential. Every act of obedience moves the assignment forward. Every compromise risks slowing it down. When you say yes to God, you are not only shaping your destiny, you are shaping the inheritance of everyone connected to your line. Sometimes, God will reveal the assignment in detail. He will show you the areas to build, the strongholds to dismantle, the truth to proclaim. Other times, you will see only the next step, trusting that He is weaving it into the greater whole. Either way, the call is the same. Be faithful with what is in your hands now. Chosen one. Do not despise the small work. In a generational assignment, even the smallest acts of obedience can shift the trajectory of a bloodline. A single choice to forgive, to speak truth, to live in holiness. These can be turning points that ripple outward for decades. You may also find that God brings people into your life who are not related by blood, but are connected by assignment. They may carry pieces of the same mission, positioned by God to walk with you for a season or to carry forward part of the work. These connections are divine strategies to ensure the assignment continues without interruption. Generational assignments are marked by God's covenant faithfulness. He remembers His promises across centuries, and He is determined to fulfill them. Your role is to be the link in the chain that holds firm, that refuses to break under pressure, that passes on something stronger than what you received. And here is the truth. Your yes today may be the reason someone in your family walks in freedom tomorrow. Your steadfastness now may be the reason a future generation knows God intimately and fulfills their own part of the calling with joy. Chosen one, carry this with reverence. The generational assignment is not a burden to fear, but a destiny to embrace. It means your life matters in ways you may never fully see this side of eternity. And one day, when the story is complete, you will stand among the cloud of witnesses and see how every step, every sacrifice, every prayer played a part in the victory. Chosen one. There are seasons when God calls you to step into territory no one in your line has walked before. These are the pioneer seasons, the moments when heaven chooses you to chart a course, break through barriers, and open paths for others to follow. To pioneer is to walk where there are no footprints. It is to push against walls that have stood for generations, to enter spaces no one thought possible for someone like you, to believe for things others have accepted as impossible. This is not a role for the faint-hearted. It is for those whose trust in God is stronger than their attachment to comfort. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 21. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow Him. Pioneers cannot waver. They must decide and move. Even when the path ahead is untested and the outcome uncertain, when God calls you to pioneer, He equips you with a vision that others may not yet understand. At first, this vision may seem too big, too risky, or too unclear to explain. Some will doubt you. Others will resist you. Not because they truly oppose you, but because your movement threatens the safety of what they've always known. But here's the truth. Pioneers see what is not yet built. They sense the shape of things before the foundation is even laid. They carry blueprints from heaven that must be drawn in faith before they can be manifested on earth. Pioneering is lonely at times. You may have to walk ahead of the crowd, breaking trail through resistance and uncertainty, but you will also see miracles that others miss, because you are standing where no one else has stood, trusting God in ways few have dared to trust Him. The enemy hates pioneers because they open gates of influence and opportunity that he has kept closed for years. This means the battles you face will often feel intense, especially in the beginning. But you are not walking alone. The Spirit of God goes before you, preparing the ground and breaking chains that would have otherwise held you back. Chosen one. Your willingness to step out will become a point of reference for others. When they see you move forward, they will realize it is possible for them too. Your courage will give them language for dreams they have buried. Your breakthrough will become the seed for theirs. To pioneer, well, you must keep your ears tuned to heaven's instructions. There will be moments when God tells you to turn left when everyone else is going right, to build when others are tearing down, to wait when the world is rushing ahead. Pioneers are not led by the patterns of the crowd. They are led by the voice of the shepherd. You will also need resilience. The first steps may feel exciting, but over time, fatigue can set in. You may look around and wonder why you have not yet reached the promise. This is where faith must anchor you. Pioneers do not stop at the first sign of resistance. They push until the breakthrough comes. Another key to pioneering is learning to celebrate small victories. Every wall you break, every barrier you cross, every inch of new ground you claim is worth marking. These moments are proof that you are moving forward, even if the final destination is still ahead. Sometimes, God will place you in environments where your presence alone is the breakthrough. Just being there, a believer in a place that has never welcomed faith. A voice of truth in a culture built on lies. A bringer of light in a space long dominated by darkness changes the atmosphere and opens doors for others. You must also guard your vision. There will be those who try to alter it, water it down, or take control of it. Protect what God has given you. Seek wise counsel, but do not surrender the blueprint He placed in your spirit just to make it easier for others to accept. The reward of a pioneer is not just in personal achievement, it is in legacy. The ground you break will make it easier for others to walk. The victories you win will spare them from certain battles, and the example you set will live long after you are gone. Chosen one. This is a holy calling. It will demand your faith, your patience, your courage, and your obedience. But it will also fill your life with testimonies that can only be explained by the hand of God. You will see Him provide where there was nothing, protect you when danger surrounded you, and guide you when every path looked the same. If you feel the stirring of this pioneer calling in your spirit, mark this moment with a declaration. Type 888 in the comments as a prophetic act. This number speaks of new beginnings, multiplied an agreement with heaven that you will step into the uncharted, break through barriers, and open the way for what God is building. Let it be your signature in the Spirit. I will go first, so others can follow. Oh, the days ahead will test you, but they will also reveal the strength and faith God has been building in you for years. Step forward. Chosen one. The path is not yet visible, but your feet will find it as you walk. The ground is ready. The gates are loosening, and the sound of breakthrough is already in the air. Chosen one. There is a shift happening right now, not just in your life, but in the atmosphere around you. You are being positioned in a place of influence where your voice, your actions, and your faith will have a ripple effect far beyond what you can see. This is not a random promotion. It is a divine placement. Heaven has assigned you to stand in spaces where the kingdom must be represented, and you are the one chosen to carry it there. This positioning is not simply about personal elevation. God is not moving you higher just for the sake of your own comfort or recognition. He is placing you strategically so that His light can enter places where darkness has been unchallenged for too long. The influence He is giving you is not for self-glory. It is for the advancement of His purposes. The ancient words recorded in the book of Esther, chapter 4, verse 14, speak powerfully to this moment. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? This is the truth over your life now. The timing is not accidental. The place you stand in is not coincidence. It is the precise arrangement of the King who orders the steps of His chosen ones. With influence comes responsibility. The higher the platform, the more eyes will watch how you move. Some will look to you for guidance and courage. Others will watch to see if your faith is genuine. And yes, there will be those who watch for your mistakes, hoping to discredit you. But you were not given this position to please people. You were given it to obey God. Chosen one. Influence in the kingdom requires both boldness and humility. You must be bold enough to speak truth when it is unpopular, and humble enough to know that the authority you carry is not your own. It is borrowed from the one who sent you. You are an ambassador, representing heaven's will in the midst of earthly systems. As you step further into this role, you will notice doors opening that were once firmly shut. Conversations you never imagined having will happen. Resources you thought were out of reach will be placed in your hands. This is favor working on your behalf. But remember, favor is never just for you. It is given so that you can open the way for others, so that you can establish kingdom order in the spaces God entrusts to you. There will be moments when using your influence feels costly. Speaking truth may risk relationships. Standing for righteousness may close certain opportunities. But in the kingdom, obedience is never loss. It is always investment. God will never let a sacrifice made for His name go unrewarded. This is why it's important to keep your assignment in view. If your focus becomes personal gain, your influence will be shallow and temporary. But if your focus remains on God's agenda, your influence will carry eternal weight. And here, chosen one, I want to invite you to take a small but powerful step of agreement. If this word resonates with you, if you feel heaven confirming that you are in a position for such a time as this, I ask you to do 3 things, not to inflate numbers, but to multiply impact. Like this message as an act of public agreement that you are ready to use your influence for the kingdom. Share it so another chosen one, who might be questioning their place right now, can see this confirmation. And subscribe so you stay connected to the ongoing flow of encouragement and strategy that will help you steward this season well. Every one of these actions strengthens the network of voices God is raising up in this hour. Chosen one. Influence is not measured by the size of the audience. It is measured by the weight of obedience. Some of your most impactful actions will happen in private, unseen by the world, but celebrated in heaven. Never underestimate the power of a faithful yes in the secret place. In the coming days, you will have opportunities that feel bigger than you. Don't let fear make you shrink back. Step forward with the quiet confidence of one who knows they have been sent. God's Spirit will give you the words, the wisdom, and the courage for every moment. One day, you will look back and see how this season was a turning point, not just for you, but for everyone touched by your obedience. You will see lives redirected toward God, systems shifted toward justice, and environments transformed by His presence flowing through you. That is the true measure of kingdom influence. Stand tall in this placement. Chosen one, you have been trusted with it for a reason. Carry it with honor. Walk in humility, and use every bit of it to advance the cause of the King who placed you there. Chosen one. There are moments in life when God does not just whisper to you, He surrounds you, immerses you, and speaks so clearly that you know the course of your life will never be the same again. This is not the ordinary leading of the Spirit that guides your daily steps. This is the unmistakable summons of heaven, a call so profound that you feel the weight of eternity in it. Such moments are rare. They are the burning bush encounters, the Damascus road interruptions, the visions in the night that shift your understanding of who you are and why you were born. You cannot manufacture these moments, nor can you predict their timing. They come when God decides the season is ripe for you to step into the next measure of your calling. Scripture says in the book of Isaiah chapter 6 verse 8, Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I, send me." This is the essence of a life-changing divine encounter. It places before you a question that demands a response. When such a moment comes, it will interrupt the ordinary. You might be in prayer, or in the middle of your workday, or even resting, when suddenly the atmosphere shifts. You will sense His presence pressing in, not with heaviness, but with an unshakable clarity. Every distraction will fade, and your attention will be captured completely. In that space, God may show you things, visions of the future, images of the people you are called to serve, glimpses of battles you are meant to fight and win. He may speak words that burn into your spirit, so alive that you know they will never fade from your memory. Or He may simply ask you one question that requires your entire life as an answer. Chosen one. A divine summons is never vague. Even if you don't understand all the details, you will leave that moment with a clear sense of direction. The uncertainty is not in whether you have been called, but in how far and how fast you are willing to go in obedience. But here's what you must know. The enemy will move quickly after such an encounter to make you doubt what you experienced. He will try to cloud your memory, stir up fear, or surround you with voices that question your sanity or your ability. This is why it's critical to write down every detail of the moment while it is fresh. Your written record will become a weapon in the days when doubt tries to creep in. Divine summonses often carry assignments that feel far beyond your current capacity. That is intentional. God calls you into spaces that require His partnership. If you could accomplish it alone, it would not be divine, it would be human ambition. But when the task is bigger than your ability, your dependence on Him will grow, and His glory will be revealed through your obedience. The aftermath of a life-altering call often brings immediate shifts. Some relationships will change because they cannot walk at the pace of your new assignment. Some habits will fall away because they no longer align with your mission. And sometimes, God will reposition you geographically or vocationally to place you exactly where you need to be. Chosen one. You cannot treat a divine summons casually. This is not an inspiring moment to be filed away for later. It is a holy commission to be acted on now. Delay can be dangerous. When heaven moves to open the door, your job is to step through it without hesitation. It is also important to recognize that divine summonses do not just shape your life, they shift the lives of those connected to you. Your obedience can open doors for generations. Your refusal can prolong battles that others will have to fight. That is the weight of the call. And it is why God chooses carefully before placing it on someone's life. If this word is stirring something deep inside you, if you sense that heaven has been summoning you, even in recent days, I want you to make a declaration in the comments. Type, "I am ready" as a prophetic act. Keep it simple. Keep it bold. This short sentence is more than words. It is a public agreement with heaven that you will not shrink back, that you will answer when called, and that you will go where you are sent. Chosen one. The call will stretch you, but it will also transform you. You will see parts of God's nature that are revealed only to those who walk in radical obedience. You will experience provision at levels that defy logic, and you will know the deep, unshakable joy of standing exactly where you were created to stand. This is not the time for hesitation. The voice that calls you now is the same voice that spoke light into existence, that calmed storms with a word, that raised the dead, When you answer him, you align yourself with power and purpose beyond anything the world can offer. So rise, step forward, answer without reservation. For the one who calls you is faithful, and he will not abandon you in the mission he has entrusted to your hands. Chosen one. There are seasons when the tests you face are not about the visible battles, but about the unseen proving of your heart. These are not the confrontations that everyone can witness, where victory is obvious and applause follows. These are the private trials, the moments when your faithfulness is measured in the secret place, when no one is watching but heaven. Private trials are the refining fires, where God shapes the integrity, endurance, and humility necessary to sustain your calling. They are not glamorous. They rarely make sense while you are in them. Yet they are some of the most critical seasons of preparation, because they strip away everything in you that cannot carry the weight of the destiny ahead. We see this truth in the account of David before he became king. In the book of 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 34, David says, "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, it was in the fields, away from the crowds, that David learned the skills and the courage he would later use to face Goliath. The public victory was only possible because of private battles already won. Private trials often feel hidden, even forgotten. You may wonder why your faithfulness isn't being recognized, why your obedience seems to be producing no visible reward. But these moments are never wasted. In the hidden place, your roots grow deep. You learn to draw strength directly from God rather than from human affirmation. Sometimes these trials come in the form of waiting long stretches where you feel ready to step into the next season. But God holds you back. The waiting is not punishment, it is alignment. God is working in circumstances you cannot see, preparing both you and the environment for the moment of release. Other times, private trials test your integrity. You may have opportunities to cut corners, to take the easy path, to gain advancement through compromise. Choosing righteousness when no one would know otherwise is one of the clearest signs that you are ready for greater responsibility. Chosen one. You may also face trials of loneliness in these seasons. God may remove certain voices from your life, not because they are bad, but because He wants to be the only voice shaping your decisions for a time. This solitude can feel heavy, but it is often the birthplace of the clearest direction and deepest intimacy with Him. In private trials, the enemy often tries to convince you that nothing is happening, that your prayers are unheard, your work is unseen, your sacrifices are unnoticed. But heaven keeps perfect records. God sees every act of obedience, every tear, every moment you choose, faith over fear, and at the right time, He will bring the fruit of this hidden season into the open. One of the most difficult parts of private trials is resisting comparison. You may see others stepping into opportunities while you remain in the shadows. But you cannot measure your journey by someone else's timeline. A premature promotion can destroy a calling. God's timing is not about speed, it's about readiness. The beauty of private trials is that they produce an authenticity that cannot be faked. When you emerge from them, you are not carrying a borrowed confidence or a second-hand faith. You know who God is because you have walked with Him in the dark. You know your calling because it has been tested by fire. These seasons also teach you to value the presence of God above all else. When there is no crowd to impress, no spotlight to seek, you learn that His approval is enough. That is a lesson many never fully embrace. And it is why their callings falter under pressure. Chosen one. The outcome of private trials is always multiplication. You may feel like you are doing small, unseen things. But in the kingdom, small seeds planted in obedience yield abundant harvests. What you do in the hidden place will one day impact far more people than you can imagine. Even Jesus spent the majority of his life in obscurity before his public ministry began. 30 years of preparation for 3 years of visible work. If the Son of God embraced the hidden seasons, then surely they hold value for us as well. As you walk through your own private trials, refuse to despise them. They are the workshops of destiny, the classrooms of greatness, the proving grounds where heaven equips its warriors. When the time comes, the skills, strength, and steadfastness you gained in secret will be the very things that sustain you in the open. One day, you will look back on this season and see that it was not a delay, but a divine investment. You will realize that every lonely prayer, every act of faithfulness, every unseen battle was laying the foundation for victories that could not have been won any other way. Hold steady. Chosen one. The eyes of heaven are on you. The hand of God is shaping you. And the time will come when what was hidden will be revealed in full glory. Chosen one. There are moments when God calls you to walk into places where the air still feels heavy with the residue of defeat. These are the ruins, territories, relationships, systems, or even entire communities that have been torn down, abandoned, or left to decay. They stand as reminders of what was lost, broken, or stolen. And it is into these very places that God sends you, not to dwell on their destruction, but to rebuild them. Rebuilding is a holy work. It is not the same as building from scratch. When you build new, you work with untouched ground, fresh materials, and unmarked history. But when you rebuild, you inherit the rubble, the fractures, the scars of what came before. You must deal with the remnants of old battles while laying the foundations for something new. We find a promise for this kind of calling in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 4. They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations. This is not simply poetic language. It is a declaration of what God does through his chosen ones. He raises up restorers who are unafraid to face the wreckage of the past. Rebuilding requires both courage and vision. Courage to confront the reality of the damage, and vision to see beyond it. It is easy to look at ruins and only see what is gone. But the restorer sees what can be, what will be, when the breath of God moves through it again. In the natural, rebuilding often starts with clearing debris. Spiritually, the same is true. Before you can lay new foundations, you must remove the brokenness, lies, and strongholds that remain from the past. This process can be messy. It may involve confronting uncomfortable truths, dismantling toxic systems, or forgiving deep wounds. But without this clearing, the new work will be built on instability. Chosen one. Rebuilding also requires discernment to know what can be salvaged and what must be replaced entirely. Not everything from the old structure is useless. Some stones have stood the test of time and can be built into the new, but others, though they may appear strong on the surface, are weakened within and cannot bear the weight of what's coming. As you step into the work of restoration, you will encounter resistance. Some will oppose your efforts because they are invested in keeping things as they are. Others will resist because they fear change, even if the current state is broken. And there will be those who have grown so accustomed to the ruins that they no longer believe rebuilding is possible. This is why your assignment as a restorer is as much about faith as it is about action. You must carry enough hope to confront despair, enough vision to challenge resignation, enough perseverance to push through when the work feels overwhelming. Rebuilding is rarely quick. The deeper the damage, the longer the restoration takes. It demands patience, strategy, and a refusal to cut corners. Every wall must be reinforced, every gate restored, every weak place strengthened, because what you are building is meant to last. In this process, you may discover that the act of rebuilding transforms you as much as it transforms the ruins. You will develop new skills, new strength, new depths of compassion. You will learn to celebrate small progress and to keep your eyes fixed on the end goal, even when the work ahead is still vast. One of the most beautiful aspects of restoration is that when God rebuilds through you, He does not just restore to the original state, He improves it. What rises in place of the ruins will be stronger, purer, and more aligned with His design than what was there before. This is why the enemy fights so hard to keep the ruins untouched, because he knows the glory that will come when they are renewed. Sometimes, rebuilding is generational work. You may start a process that others will continue, or you may be the one who finishes what was begun long before you. Both roles are vital, and neither is more important than the other. Chosen one. Do not despise the ruins. They are not the end of the story. They are the beginning of a testimony. Every broken wall, every empty gate, every scorched foundation is an opportunity for God to display His power and faithfulness through your hands. Your role is not to rebuild in your own strength, but to partner with the Master Builder. He will give you blueprints in prayer, resources through divine connections, and strength through His Spirit. He will also send others to labor beside you, each bringing their own skills and perspectives to the work. And when the restoration is complete, it will be a witness not only to the ones who dwell there, but also to those who once doubted that anything good could come from such devastation. They will see the beauty of what God has done and know that it was His hand that brought it forth. So, step into the ruins with confidence. Chosen one. The work will be hard, but it will be holy. You are not there to mourn what was lost. You are there to rebuild what will stand. Chosen one. There are assignments where the weight is not in the pace of the journey, but in the length of it. These are the long-haul missions, the callings that do not unfold in weeks or months, but over years, sometimes decades. They are the marathons of destiny. The works that require steadfastness when the initial excitement has faded, the endurance to keep walking when every part of you wants to rest. Long-haul missions are not for the impulsive or the easily discouraged. They are for those who understand that kingdom work is not measured by speed, but by faithfulness. The measure of success is not how quickly you finish, but whether you remain steady until the end. We see a reflection of this truth in the words of the Apostle Paul, as recorded in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. These are not the words of a man who rushed through his calling. They are the words of one who endured through every trial until the mission was complete. Long-haul assignments often begin with a burst of clarity. God shows you the big picture, the mountain you are meant to climb, the work you are called to build. In those early days, your heart is full, your prayers are bold, your energy is high. But as the months and years pass, the reality of the journey sets in. Progress feels slower than you expected. Obstacles appear that you did not anticipate. The road stretches ahead further than you thought it would. This is where the long-haul warrior must make a choice to fix their eyes, not on how far they still have to go, but on the one who called them in the first place. If he began the work, he will be faithful to complete it. If he gave the vision, he will provide the strength to carry it through. One of the great challenges of long-haul missions is maintaining focus. Distractions will come, some in the form of good opportunities that are simply not your assignment, others in the form of difficulties that tempt you to abandon the work altogether. You must learn to discern between what is truly part of your calling and what is merely noise along the way. Patience becomes your constant companion in these seasons, not passive waiting, but active endurance, the kind of patience that keeps building, keeps solving, keeps showing up, even when there is no visible result yet. Every act of obedience, no matter how small, becomes another brick in the structure God is raising through you. Chosen one. You will also face seasons in a long-haul mission where it feels like you are walking through a desert. The inspiration that fueled you before seems distant. The promises feel delayed. It is in these moments that your roots in God's word and presence will sustain you. When the external signs are scarce, the internal conviction must remain strong. One of the most dangerous temptations in a long-haul mission is the urge to compromise in order to speed up the process. The enemy will whisper shortcuts, ways to get the appearance of success without the actual substance of obedience. But every shortcut comes with a cost, and what is gained prematurely often cannot stand the tests that follow. Long-haul missions also reveal the necessity of rest. You cannot run at full speed indefinitely without breaking. God built rhythms into his creation for a reason: seasons of sowing and seasons of reaping, times of work and times of renewal. Learning to rest without quitting is essential for those carrying assignments that span years. Over time, you may find that the mission changes shape. The core purpose remains, but the methods evolve. This is not failure, it is maturity. As you grow, God expands your understanding, equips you with new tools, and sometimes shifts your strategy to meet the needs of the season. Flexibility is not compromise, it is wisdom when guided by the Spirit. A key strength for the long-haul warrior is community. You will need people who remind you of the vision when you forget, who pray for you when your strength wanes, who celebrate the small wins along the way. Isolation can drain your resolve, but encouragement from fellow travelers will keep your spirit alive. The beauty of long-haul missions is that they forge something in you that cannot be built any other way. Endurance produce depth. Perseverance produces unshakable faith. Years of steady obedience produce a testimony that speaks louder than any quick success story. And there will come a day, often when you least expect it, when the finish line appears on the horizon, you will realize that the countless small steps have brought you to the place God promised from the beginning. The joy in that moment will not just be in completing the task, it will be in knowing that you walked every mile with Him. Some of the fruit from long-haul assignments you will see in your lifetime, some you will never see until eternity. But both are equally valuable in the kingdom. God measures the work not by visibility, but by faithfulness. Chosen one. If you are in the middle of a long-haul mission right now, take heart. The fact that you are still standing is already a victory. Every day you remain obedient. Every prayer you lift. Every choice to keep going when it would be easier to stop it all matters. The enemy will try to convince you that nothing is happening, but heaven sees every seed, and in due time, those seeds will bear fruit, some in your life, some in the lives of others you may never meet, but all to the glory of the one who called you. So keep walking, keep building, keep fighting the good fight. The finish line may be further than you thought, but the one who runs beside you will never leave you, and when you cross it, you will not just be a runner who finished, you will be a warrior who endured. Chosen one. Every journey with God eventually arrives at a point of culmination, not just the end of a chapter, but the completion of a season that heaven has been shaping for years. It is not merely a finish, it is a fulfillment. A place where the promises of God converge with the obedience of His servant. This is the moment when the weight you have carried, the battles you have fought, the prayers you have prayed, and the sacrifices you have made come together to reveal the bigger picture. It is when you finally understand why certain doors had to remain closed, why certain delays were necessary, and why certain trials could not be avoided. Every thread that once felt disconnected now weaves together into a tapestry of divine purpose. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms chapter 138 verse 8. The Lord will fulfill His purpose for me, your love, O Lord, endures forever. Do not abandon the works of your hands. This is not a vague hope. It is a declaration that the one who began your story will also bring it to its intended glory. The culmination of a season is not always loud. Sometimes it arrives in quiet triumph. A deep knowing in your spirit that what God intended has been accomplished. Other times it bursts forth in visible breakthrough, where everyone around you can see the hand of God at work, whether in silence or in celebration. The essence is the same. God has done what He promised. This season is marked by clarity. Where confusion once clouded your perspective, you begin to see with sharpness. You understand the reasons for the refining, the lessons in the waiting, the growth in the hardship. You see that the journey was not just about reaching the destination, but about becoming the kind of person who could inhabit it faithfully. At the point of culmination, gratitude often overwhelms you. You remember the nights you almost gave up, the days you walked forward without feeling His presence, the moments when your strength was gone and only His grace carried you, and you realize that every step, whether joyous or painful, was guided by His hand. This is also a season of testimony. What you have walked through is not just for you, it is for others who will face similar paths. Your story becomes a roadmap, showing them that God is faithful, that His timing is perfect, and that His power is sufficient. Your scars become proof of victory, not shame. Yet, chosen one, culmination is not the end of your purpose. It is the completion of one assignment so that you can step into the next. God is a God of seasons, and while each has a clear beginning and end, His call over your life is continuous. The skills, faith, and wisdom you gained here will be the foundation for what comes next. There is also a deep rest that comes with completion, not idleness, but the peace of knowing you have done what you were called to do. In this rest, you regain strength. refresh your spirit, and prepare for the unfolding of the next chapter. Rest is not a pause in purpose, it is part of purpose. In this place, you may also experience an increase in spiritual authority. Having walked faithfully to the end of this season, you carry a weight in the spirit that cannot be manufactured. Heaven trusts you with more because you have proven faithful with what was in your hands before. The culmination is also a place of worship, not the kind born only from request, but the deep, unfiltered worship that flows from awe because you have seen him do what no one else could do. You worship not for what you hope to receive, but for what he has already done and for who he has revealed himself to be. And while you stand here, chosen one, know that heaven celebrates with you. The angels rejoice over victories both seen and unseen. The Father looks on you with pleasure, not because you were perfect, but because you stayed. You kept moving. You trusted him even when you didn't understand. The wisdom you carry from this journey will make you a pillar for others. You will be able to speak life into those who are still in the middle of their battles, because you will speak from experience, not theory. You will have authority to declare that God can be trusted, because you have walked with him to the end. This is the beauty of culmination. It not only changes your circumstances, it changes you. You are not the same person who began this journey. You are wiser, stronger, more compassionate, more aligned with his heart. You have learned that the path of the chosen is not the easiest road, but it is the most fulfilling one. From this place, you will look back and realize that what once felt like detours were in fact the most direct route to where you needed to be. Every unanswered prayer that kept you dependent on him, every delay that forced you to deepen your trust, every loss that drove you into his presence, they were all essential threads in the final design. And so, chosen one, as one season ends and another waits beyond the horizon, carry forward the truth that this journey has etched into your soul, that God's faithfulness is not conditional on circumstances, that his timing is not measured by human clocks, and that his purposes for you are unstoppable. Stand here for a moment. Let gratitude fill you. Let his peace settle over you. Let his joy rise within you. And when the time comes, take the next step, because the God who brought you here is already waiting in the season ahead. Chosen one, you have reached the end of this journey, but heaven is only just beginning to unfold the next chapter for you. Every word you've read has been a seed planted in your spirit, a seed that will bear fruit if you guard it, water it, and live it out. This was not just about inspiration. This was about impartation. Throughout these sections, you have been reminded that you are not here by accident. Every battle, every delay, every breakthrough has been shaping you for this exact moment. You have been forged in the fire, refined in the waiting, and positioned in the light. You are no longer the same person who started reading. The truths you've encountered here are now part of your spiritual DNA. But here is something I cannot stress enough. The work is not over. This message is not meant to end with you. It is meant to move through you. There are others who need the confirmation you've just received. Others who are wandering in confusion, wondering if they have been forgotten. You carry the answer they are searching for. This is why I am asking you to take a simple but powerful step. Like this message as your public declaration that you are stepping boldly into the destiny God has prepared for you. Share it so that someone else, someone who might be on the verge of giving up, can find the hope they need to keep going. Subscribe so that you remain connected to the stream of encouragement, truth, and strategy that will strengthen you in the days ahead. And I want you to do one more thing as a prophetic act in the comments. Type 333. This is a number of divine fullness, a reminder that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are in perfect agreement over your life. It speaks of unity with heaven, alignment with God's will, and the completion of a season so that a greater one can begin. When you type it, you are not just posting digits, you are marking your name in the Spirit as one who says, I am in alignment. I am stepping forward. I am ready for what's next. Heaven responds to these acts of faith, and they are recorded in ways you may never see on earth, but will one day understand in eternity. Chosen one, as we close this chapter, I want you to feel the weight of what has been spoken over you. You are not just surviving, you are advancing. You are not just called, you are chosen. And you are not just chosen, you are sent. The road ahead will still have challenges, but you now carry a greater measure of strength, clarity, and authority. You will walk into rooms differently. You will speak with more conviction, and you will stand unshaken in storms that would have once knocked you down. Let this moment be your seal. Mark it, remember it, and live from it. You are stepping into days where the goodness of God will overwhelm you. The favor of God will surround you, and the power of God will work through you in ways you never imagined. Now go. Chosen one. The world needs what you carry, and heaven is watching, smiling, knowing you will not waste what has been entrusted to you.